So this is the broadcast tool here, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see in all its glory. You can see the notation. You can also see the engine evaluation next to each move, and also how long they spend.
What I like is you can make your own moves on the board. You can check the alternatives to what the players did. And even for the moves you make, you get the computer evaluation here.
Fantastic.
I think you get it quicker and better as a premium member, such as yours truly. What I also like, there is a chat function. You can exchange things with people from all over the world. If you want to see something else, let's say you're watching a tournament and you want to see all the games at once, no problem displaying. I have no idea how many games there are, like 128 games at the same time. Can do even more. This is a team competition. You click on multi-board.
That's beautiful.
You can see all the 8 games going on at once.
You can see the games and standings, which
What we got? I'll click around. Games and standings here.
Yeah. Analysis, if we click on that tab,
Let's click on it.
You can see that it's a great little graphical illustration. The red line is 0, that is the absolute even mark. And if the white bars go up, the further up they go, the bigger the advantage. And the black bars show a black advantage.
Then there's a database, and here we get the alternatives. And if we click on a move in the database, bam! It gets played on the board.
Fantastic. And then the PGN can even be downloaded.
I like that feature.
Yeah.
Whatever tournament or game you're following, you click it and you open it in the program of your choice.
Yeah, and one of the great things I like to see as well is when we get a video from the playing hall. I like to see them in their seats, nervous, you feel the tension, you feel like you're there, don't you?
Chess is really becoming a spectator's internet sport.
Great that we can see that. And I also love to see the fact that we can get in some of our friends to join us during the broadcast. And it's all interactive, that's what we love. And
a lot of overview functions there.
A lot of great functions there, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you take advantage of all of them. Let's get back to the commentary.
Keep tweeting us, hashtag C24Live. We love to hear from you. Ask us anything, mainly about Lawrence life, but if you have other questions, they're also welcome.
Also send us anything you like about Jan, hashtag C24Live.
Absolutely.
Chess is simple. You just make the right moves.
Hello, everybody. It is time. The clash of the titans. For me, the two greatest, not only chess players of the moment, but certainly internet rapid chess players. It's the one we've all been waiting for, the showdown, the final match between Hikaru Nakamura and Magnus Carlsen in the Heritage Chess Tournament. It's the semifinals. The winner of this match, quite simply, will go through to the final to face an absolutely, for me, one of the most exciting and industrious and clever and creative players in this tournament, and maybe even at the moment, Daniil Dubov, who managed to beat Ding Liren, the big favorite on paper, the world number 3, somebody who's very difficult to beat, but Daniil Dubov, with his tricky, creative, foxy style, managed to outwit, outcalculate, and very fairly beat Ding, winning the first 2 matches, securing his place in the finals. And now, of course, all that remains to be seen is who will face Daniil Dubov. Will it be the world champion Magnus Carlsen, or will it be Hikaru Nakamura? Hikaru losing the first of the 3 matches in convincing fashion, actually. Magnus just won every game, whitewashed him 3-0. But Hikaru switching up the tactics just a bit yesterday, putting pressure on Magnus right from the off, on the clock, certain positions. Feels like the change of strategy worked in his favor, and Hikaru won the match yesterday, meaning it's winner takes all. Whoever wins this match, be it in the first 4 games or in Armageddon, qualifies for the final. And as always, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by the one and only, my good friend, and the greatest to come from St. Petersburg, arguably the greatest, well, one of the greatest of all time for sure, from Russia, the one and only Grandmaster Peter Svidler. I wasn't going to say the greatest because then I really would have been slammed. But for me, you're the greatest, Peter. 8 times Russian champion, a long list of accolades, and a great sparring.
Very, very good day to everyone. Thanks for that introduction. It's entirely unfair, but why not? Why not start as we plan to go on? Very, very exciting day today. Obviously, after the first set, and I will attempt to make the set nomenclature stick with the why create a tennis-like system if we're not going to call them sets. Right. After the first set in the Carlsen Nakamura match, I think very, very few people would have bet against Magnus winning rather handily and having an additional day off before playing whoever it is that he plays in the final. But yesterday, after an incredibly dramatic game 1 in which Magnus seemed to be doing all the early running, was probably objectively winning at some point, although in difficult fashion, not anything that anyone would describe as routine, and then refusing a draw by repetition and going down in flames. He did not really get a look in after that. That was to me the important part, just how easily Hikaru seemed to be able to shut him down in the remaining games. In game 2, Magnus definitely had some winning chances. That was a game that I think both of them felt a lot of pressure, and there were a lot of uncharacteristic inaccuracies in game 2. But 3 and 4, Hikaru, I think, was altogether untroubled, which is really not that easy against Magnus when Magnus needs to win and needs to get a complicated fighting position on the board these days. And this, of course, sets up a fantastic day 3, fantastic final set for us to watch and talk about, with everything to play for, and with the resurgent Daniil Dubov awaiting the winner in the finals. Well, so should be a tremendously good day for chess viewers everywhere.
Yeah, no doubt. We're going to have lots of action, hopefully lots of twists and turns. Obviously, the format is rapid chess. We see a a lot more drama in certain aspects. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how Magnus decides to play, because I think declining the perpetual check in game one was actually quite a serious blunder, strategically speaking. Don't think there was any need for him to find it. The position was just way too out of control. He could have just drawn that, settled into the match. Wasn't clear that he was winning, if I'm right in saying that, Peter. I mean,
well, yeah, the curious part, if we could perhaps bring the relevant position on the board, it's almost on the board, but we need to go a couple of moves further in. Here after Queen H3, King G1, this is the position where obviously you can continue giving checks. Also, I have seen on my screen, I decided not to investigate properly, but I have seen on my screen that Black can actually play Rook D8, Queen C4, Rook D5 here, but you do not really. I don't even want to talk about that. That's some kind of a computer BS, frankly, which like nobody does that. The point being EG5 F3, and after EG5 for one move here, White has no checks, which is very relevant. And now we are proceeding to try and give mate. I don't know if that actually works or not. The evaluation I've seen favors Black, but I don't know if that's a draw in the final count or if Black wins. But the relevant point is, if we go back to the position of the King G1, on move 26. The relevant point is, I don't know exactly what the clock situation was, but Magnus was seriously behind on the clock.
Right.
And you have this perpetual, or you can do what you've done, which is G3, Knight of 3, G2. And knowing how ambitious Magnus is, I can understand him, trusting in his abilities and continuing to play for a win. If not for the simple fact that after Rook E1, which is more or less the only move anyone would make in this position, you have to take on F3, because otherwise what you've done makes no sense. And White has the easiest perpetual in the world. So what you're doing isn't actually a winning attempt.
Right.
This is what kind of confuses me here. If what Magnus was doing there was a risky, legitimate winning attempt, then yes, we've come to expect Magnus to play, as ambitiously as possible, not taking draws, continuing games until play is exhausted. But this is not a winning attempt. White always has a perpetual there. There is absolutely no way Black escapes the perpetual. And what you're doing by playing this is giving Hikaru a positive free roll, because maybe something will appear which is more than the perpetual. And as it turned out, indeed, White is completely winning here. After Bishop B4, it's like mate in 10 or something.
Right.
And this is a decision that is very unlike Magnus, because Magnus, I think, understands these things, instinctively very, very well, and normally, is not in the habit of giving people positive free rolls for no reason.
Yeah, totally agree with you. It's very uncharacteristic of Magnus, who is such a pragmatic player in general. So that was a huge blunder from him, not just losing the game, but then, of course, being on the back foot. But you have to commend Hikaru for, as you said,
absolutely. This takes away nothing from what Hikaru has done over the space of those 4 games. I just wanted to, because in the final count, the match was decided by that one decisive game. Yes. It's fair, I think, to draw particular attention to the critical point in that game. And in game 2, also somewhat strangely, Magnus gambled quite a bit more than once in that game. But somewhere around move 47-ish, 50-ish, like the game is too long for us to cover properly, but somewhere around here, particularly move 50, actually, yeah, I remember now, because here Rook D2 is just such a strange non-move. I think Magnus, under normal circumstances, he plays something like Rook D5 or Rook E5 here. And it's actually quite difficult for Black to defend the H-pawn without losing material. And then, once again, it's just a very pleasant position. I don't think you can play H4. I think you get mated if you play H4. Like Rook H5, Bishop H7 appears to win on the spot. Maybe Rook E5 is slightly more precise, but it shouldn't matter a great deal. Here, Rook F5 is just mate, so you just can't do that. So you lose the H5 pawn, and then, you will win some of those, you will draw some of those, but it's it's really not that like it's you take those. It's quite clearly a better position for white with zero risk. And instead, he allowed this rook h5, rook g. Perhaps he missed rook h1, rook g1, but still, rook d2 felt like a bit of a timid move, which, yes, you can explain some of it as a miscalculation, but still.
Yeah, and it felt like he wasn't firing on all cylinders at all yesterday. I mean, it was just lacking that spring in his step that until now in this tournament, he's been absolutely sublime, Magnus Carlsen. I mean, he's just, after the initial slightly bumpy qualification stage of this tournament, where he kind of got through, it wasn't great. He really got into gear when it came to the knockout stage. And that was the first day, really, where he looked subpar for him, for his very lofty standards.
And so, we have to once again say that Hikaru is really not a person you want to play your B minus chess against, because you do get punished severely, and this is what we have seen yesterday. The moment Magnus started making mistakes, he got slammed hard, and today it makes for a fantastic final set. I will continue saying that, because I firmly believe that in terms of our viewing pleasure, this is the best timeline.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about everybody watching. First and foremost, thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, this is the main event, and we're going to get lots of people watching. As always, please be kind in chat. There are a lot of people here. This is a family-friendly show. Don't be nasty. We're here to enjoy the chess, and the environment is very important. So make sure everybody in chat is on, make sure you're on your best behavior, encouraging people. We're all here because we all love the game. Moreover, as always, in order for tournaments like this to happen, Carlsen Nakamura, your support is very much appreciated. This tournament is allowed to happen as a result of you becoming subscribers of Chess24. We've been telling you about all the offers throughout the tournament, but for today, it's just going to be the standard one. You can get 2 for 1 by using the code DOUBLE, if I've got that right, when you go to the checkout. So if you want to become a premium member, even just for 2 months, I would, of course, personally recommend anybody becomes a premium member for a year or longer, because there's just so many new products and features that are going to be launched imminently on Chess24 that only premium members can gain access to. The videos and the banter blitzes and code chat, all of these things. So, but if you want to try it out, use the code DOUBLE when you check out, and you can get 2 months for the price of 1. Your support is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for everybody who has become premium. And I know a lot of people have, as a result of us explaining what the benefits are. So that's great. What else is actually going on? Well, of course, the winner of this goes through to the final of this great tournament. The winner facing Daniil Dubov. What is the first prize, Peter? I can't recall off the top of my head.
I haven't actually looked into that properly.
Oh, here we go. Here's the prize fund. $45,000 for the winner. Not a bad little prize for the winner. Runner-up.
Yeah, and Daniil already secured the 27, and there will be an 18K pay jump at stake in the final. So yeah, a very, very well played tournament, as these tournaments organized and part of the tour generally are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could, theoretically come down to a blitz game. That it could be an $18,000 blitz game. These things have happened before, so the stakes are extremely high. Once again, a great prize fund, and part of the Magnus Carlsen Tour. This is not the only tournament. We've already seen this will be the second in the series. We've got more to come. I don't know if we have a graphic for that, but plenty more. In just a couple of weeks, we'll have the next installment, and there will be also a grand final for this tour, where I think the prize fund, Peter, is going to be $300,000 for that tournament. Absolutely monstrous.
Yeah, must be nice, is what you're, I think, supposed to say.
Yeah, must be. Play a bit of rapid chess at home, win a few $100,000. Yeah, the next one is the so-called online chess masters, starting already June 20th, which is fantastic. Of course, June 20th to July 5th, online chess masters. Then we have the Legends of Chess, July 21st to August 5th, and then the grand final. So all of these tournaments, that was the Magnus Carlsen Invitational before this one, it's going to be an accumulation of points and standings. I'm not sure exactly how the point system works, but the people that get to the grand final will have fully deserved it. That's going to be huge, $300,000 for that final tournament alone. Great stuff. Now, we've got 5 or so minutes, Peter. I'm going to see if this improves my lighting, actually. It looks as though my lighting is a little bit funny. Predictions. I like.
Let's go with predictions, and then we can perhaps take a little break and come back closer to when the games start. I am, not entirely risk averse, but I will take. I think the properly. The proper conclusion of this would be to somebody win the Armageddon game. So I'm going to take Magnus Carlsen winning the Armageddon game with the white pieces today. Very specific, very because I suspect Hikaru chooses black, and Hikaru will be the one choosing the color because he finished obviously above Magnus in the round robin phase of the tournament.
That's actually quite relevant, because
it is very relevant. It is very relevant because I think 2-2 is not at all an unthinkable score for today. And then having to choose color, I would argue, is an advantage. And I expect Hikaru to choose black, and that would be quite something to watch. Magnus having to win on demand in a final game.
Yeah, that would be the ultimate, drama point for the fans, wouldn't it? Go all the way to the wire. Armageddon. We'll see.
Very much so, yeah.
We'll see. I will say the same, except that I think if it goes to Armageddon, Hikaru wins. That's my...
Okay, so we are both taking the 2-2, and we are taking the opposing sides of the resulting Armageddon. Yeah, that's fair, and we might at some point get the other finalist on air, and we'll see what he says. But if he doesn't show up in the next 5 minutes, he will have an advantage of knowing how the games go. So perhaps his predictions will be, a bit more on point than ours. But we'll see how that goes.
Should we talk? I've spoken. I'm in awe of Daniil Dubov. He, for me, everything he does is right up my street, as I've gone on about nonstop during this tournament. He's creative. He's fantastic calculator. The positions are all original. I just love to see him play chess. What can you say about your countryman? And
I think this is starting from round 10 of the round robin. This is the best consistent run of chess I've seen Daniil play in a while, and it's been an absolute joy to watch. Starting from that game which we we assume he absolutely had to win against Magnus with the black pieces in the round robin, the game that qualified him for the knockout stage and came very close to actually knocking Magnus out of the knockout stage. Starting from that game where he successfully got a position which optically looked worse for him, but remained fighting, remained complex, pieces remained on the board, and then he just went on the offensive with the black pieces with a very nice pawn sacrifice and a very nicely played game full of creative ideas, full of vim and vigor and things beginning with V. And since then, stuff he's done in the quarters and the semis is just jaw-dropping. The dominance he's had over the large portions of his matchup against Sergei Karyakin, who I think on paper is the more accomplished speed player than Daniil is. I understand that Daniil has been world champion, but so has Karyakin, and Karyakin is still higher rated, is still supposedly the most stable of the two. And apart from really an aberration on day 2, where Daniil just kind of tuned out for 3 seconds in game 4, leading to 2-1 and needing a draw with the white pieces, and then did not somehow give mate in a completely winning position in the Armageddon. Days 1 and 3, he won 6-0, which is really not something you see very often against Karyakin. Beating him in general is quite difficult, as we have all learned over the years. But recording two clean sweeps against that particular player is stunning. And then winning in straight sets against Ding in the semis, in particular, if you take into the account, and he's alluded to this even himself during winners' interviews, he's had calling it a checkered history, I think does it no justice, really. He just has had a very, very poor record in general against Chinese players. And although, stylistically we spoke about this one day on air, there is really no longer, a particular stylistic portrait of a Chinese chess player that works, which may have been true, let's say, 20, 25 years ago, really no longer is true. But when you continuously don't do particularly well against similar players, it starts weighing on your mind. I know this personally because, for the first maybe 5 to 7 years of my, start of proper chess career, I also had a very poor score against Chinese players. And at some point, whenever you play a Chinese player again, you just start off by thinking this is not going to go well, and that hurts your chances. So for him to just convincingly turn this around and beat Ding Liren, who is a stalwart by this point, who's been showing very, very consistent play online, ran Magnus very, very close in the semis of the MCI, has qualified and won the quarters very convincingly here as well. Must have been very, very satisfying for Daniil, and I am expecting the final to be full of fireworks, as have the quarters and the semis.
Absolutely. I mean, Daniil in the final is, for me, it's actually a delight to see him there, because we know we're going to get some extremely exciting, wacky, unorthodox positions where, he's really going to fight. There are going to be no dull draws, no dull Queen's Gambit decline. It's going to be just going for the throat in every single game, unless the match situation was so far in his favor that he wouldn't need to spice it up. But that's the sort of player he is. He naturally feels like he has to make it exciting. I think we talk about chess players being artists. I think he very much falls into that category.
Absolutely, yeah. I think for him that segment of of playing chess, that that aspect of playing chess, not segment, is extremely important. And we have moves, so let's
We have moves. Let's
perhaps stop blabbering about and start showing what's going on. This is a very surprising choice from Magnus. I'm very interested in why he's doing this, because the classical four knights has been, I think, kind of defanged in recent years. It's gone through stages. It was very popular in the mid-90s. I myself played quite a bit of this in the mid-90s, and in those years, people like Wróblewski and others have been very serious about trying to prove white is better. And then the resurgence came when Kramnik started playing this with the white pieces again, I think maybe starting some 10 years ago. But now I think it's really not supposed to be anything. And Jan would be very, very proud of this if he were here right now, because they are playing the line Jan himself recommended in his video series. This d5, e5, bishop g4 line is...
Let's quickly stop here, because, I mean, obviously the move c takes d5 is the absolute main line where for many years after bishop g5, c6, we reach a tabia of this opening where white's tried anything, queen f3, knight a4.
Yeah, knight a4 used to be popular then, and I think Kramnik introduced the idea of just playing h3, queen f3, and then playing extremely slowly. And I thought, frankly, by this point, people figured out what to do about it. But there's also this choice of not allowing it at all, starting with bishop g4, which is what Hikaru chooses here. And they blitzed out this entire sequence, f3, bishop h5. I think Yuan Gi got quite some success playing bishop g5 in this position at some point. I think he won a game against Ding Liren after bishop g5. But I think eventually people figured out how to deal with this as well. I think the current thinking is that queen d6 is maybe slightly more precise than c takes d5 here, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that, please. Instead, Magnus goes d takes c6, queen d4, king h1. Everything gets, I mean, both the b2 pawn and the c6 pawn get picked up in reply. Bishop f4, I don't believe I have seen, but I'm sure, you know, this being a bit of a tabia these days, I'm sure both players should be aware of what's going on here. Bishop g6. And optically, this position really shouldn't be anything at all for white, because, you know, black is incredibly solid. The bishop pair doesn't survive because the bishop on g6 obviously will get traded for the bishop on d3, maybe even immediately. The knight will be quite stable on d5. As I said, I'm curious why Magnus chooses this, because he gives himself, I think, very, very little you know, maneuvering space here to outplay Hikaru. Hikaru is a very solid positional player, and I don't think he is even remotely worse here if we are talking about objective evaluation. So we'll see how that transpires, but looks to be a bit of a quiet game one.
Yeah, maybe Magnus just, I don't know, his reasoning maybe just wants to settle into the match, but optically, this looks absolutely like nothing.
Yeah, like I'm trying to imagine how, like, what transformation of this position needs to happen for white to suddenly actually get a little bit of a nibble. And I'm coming up a little bit short, to be honest. I don't quite know what you're supposed to be aiming for. Taking on d3 and playing knight d5 seemed fine. Also, not taking on d3 and keeping the bishops where they are seems perfectly logical. Like knight d5, bishop g3 playing something like knight b4 here. And forcing white. I'm using forcing, but I'm not sure if it's forced. I mean, maybe, probably, you know, given half a chance, Magnus will try to keep the bishops on the board. I don't know if there's an option. But knight before bishop g6, hg.
Maybe knight before you can go bishop b5. Maybe.
Exactly, yeah, but I'm not taking on c2, I think I'm playing something like queen c5 here. And at least for the time being, pretending that it's not that easy to force me to take on c2. I want to take on c2 with the knight, obviously, that would be good. But I don't want to take with the queen. Yeah, but I mean, how scared are we here? Bishop takes c2, perhaps, and if rook c1, I have some queen g5 ideas. it does get tactical, but it feels like it's extremely possible that the entire thing just completely fizzles out. Also, after bishop b5, why am I so averse to the idea of taking on c2 with the queen? As I now realize, I was a bit worried about rook a c1, but then I can take and play c6, for instance, and kind of look at the white player expectantly. What exactly do you want here, sir?
Are you suddenly slightly concerned?
No, not really. With white?
Yeah.
No, I think white is. I mean, bishop a4, white is still fine, but it's very difficult to imagine black queen being worse here, right? Yeah, it feels like Hikaru should just be completely fine here. I don't really foresee any difficulty. We'll see what Magnus thinks about things, though. Maybe he has some clever ideas here.
Looks completely underwhelming to me, Magnus's idea. I don't know what he was trying. Maybe he had some ideas in the main line with after e takes d5, c takes d5. Maybe this is where his prep. But of course, knowing Jan, and I'm sure he's seen the series as well that Jan has produced, and not only the series, I mean, he's done work on this aside from that. People do know about this line now. So
yeah, I don't think any of this should come as a surprise to anybody by this point. It's very much part of the vernacular, and it has been played at reasonably high level. I remember I sent Jan a very heartfelt thank you text after beating Luke McShane on the black side of this in a round robin in Israel last year, because my only knowledge about this line came from doing a number of live broadcasts with Jan, and Jan describing this line when people were playing the four knights. So basically, like the entirety of my knowledge came from the 10 minutes we spent cumulatively on air talking through various move orders. And when Luke unexpectedly played the four knights against me, I thought, okay, let's give him something to think about, and ended up winning that game. So I was very grateful to Jan for yet another occasion where he has been invaluable to me.
And Gustafsson, he might be joining us at some point, hopefully. We will see. Okay, knight b4 on the board, and
bishop e4 played by Magnus. It's curious because I actually came to a similar conclusion, but my way of doing this was worse, I think. While I was talking, I suddenly spotted the idea of bishop g6, hg, queen e4. But bishop e4 is obviously an attempt to do the same without actually solving black's back rank issues for him. The big question here is whether black is actually obliged to take on e4. I suspect he might be, because otherwise white will probably play a3. Like if you play something like queen c5 or queen c3, you have to calculate a3. It's probably queen c3. If anything, it's probably queen c3, because that at least pretends to create a threat of rook d2. And makes it a little bit harder for white to attack this queen with something like bishop f2, which I think would happen after queen c5, or at least potentially. But yeah, this is how you try to create problems here. Let's look at the most obvious thing after bishop b4, which is obviously taking twice and taking on c2.
So you want to take which order?
Right now, in the current position, the most obvious reply, of course, is to just take on e4 twice instead of moving the queen anywhere, and then taking on c2. Yeah, and I mean, no, twice. I mean, obviously you don't want to blunder on before.
Yes, I'm blundering queen.
Yeah, but now after rook e4, knight c2, rook c1, you do end up in exactly the kind of an endgame you don't want to be getting, because rook d2 probably loses to bishop f4, and that means that you have to move the knight somewhere, the rook lands on c7, and you are not entirely happy. which is probably why Hikaru did play queen c3 there.
Yeah.
So what can we do now with the white pieces? I think the most important question is whether a3 is playable. But I think it's not. I think after a3, I can take on c2, and rook c1 will be well met by rook d2. Either rook, yeah, you can go rook ac1, but I still have rook d2, and I think my pieces stay safe. And then obviously black is quite happy to pick up some. I missed that altogether. But rook takes c2 still saves material, right? Rook c2, rook c2.
Rook c2.
Yeah, and we end up in a drawn endgame, of course. Yeah, just a draw here.
That's not out of the question, I would say.
No, it's not. But a3 is not forced. Let's look at other options. What else can we do with white that doesn't immediately simplify?
Like rook e c1 with bishop e1 ideas.
Yeah, but bishop e1 will not really win anything. I think rook e c1, rook e8, black is quite happy. Ceding control over the e file, I think, in general, is not something that you want to be doing here.
And then bishop
it's
e1.
It's one of the better things you have going in your position here is white. The more or less total control over the e file.
Bishop e1?
Queen c5?
You see.
I still have a square, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, you have a square, sorry.
Bishop e1 is a relevant idea, but I still have a decently comfortable square there. And then, yeah, with the rooks on e8 and d8, I just don't believe black can be worse. Maybe it could start being a bit better. Yeah, I mean, you can look at something like bishop g6 followed by bishop e5, but I think the relevant part there is that the trades will happen with the rook still on e1 and a1. So let's say bishop g6 hg, bishop e5, queen takes c2, and yeah, the issue for white is that you run into all kinds of forks. It's very, very important to have at least one rook on e4 on a light square here, so that forks don't hurt you that much. He's gone rook a d1, which is an interesting sharp choice, aiming to once again exploit a potential weakness of the back rank. If black at some point, like, there's a way to lose immediately by playing something like bishop e4, queen e4, knight c2, and resign to rook d8 and queen e8 mate. Obviously, nobody ever does that, but that just illustrates how careful you need to be. And Hikaru quickly sidesteps it by going rook d8 and making sure that no shenanigans are possible against his back rank at all. And now white actually, has a lot of stuff hanging. A2 is hanging, c2 is hanging. Also, relevantly, bishop takes e4 attacks the bishop on g3.
Oh, yeah, wow.
There's, if you play something like queen b5 here, your bishop on g3 will end up hanging in the end of that line.
That's a sort of blunder you don't want to miss.
Yeah, so I'm curious, I'm beginning to think you probably want a secure bailout here for white. Like, you start, I think, analyzing this position by asking yourself, what is the way for me to make sure I'm not worse? Because I think it is possible for white to be worse here. It's not out of the question.
If we go, I mean, queen f2 sidesteps protects the...
Yeah, but let's say I take on e4, fe4, and I take on a2. With the rooks on d8 and e8, I think my position
but
is...
I've got queen a7.
You have queen a7. Yeah, it will probably end up... No, g3 is still hanging, though.
And a2 is hanging?
Yeah, but like, you're slightly worse there. You're definitely not pushing for advantage. And I think rook d7 is probably the strongest move in this position. And white is probably completely fine, but you need to be sure about these things. After queen f2, there's also knight takes c2, but that is just a draw. In terms of my narrative of... actually, maybe this is more than a draw, because you can play rook c1. Yeah, that's nonsense. You don't want to be allowing rook c1 here.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, queen f2. I also think maybe queen e3 makes an immediate draw.
Yeah, I was thinking about queen e3.
Yeah, because takes f5, white still has bishop d5 check, and the bishop doesn't get lost. In fact, white is even a little bit better in that position because of how stupid the bishop on g6 is. But of course, it's objectively a draw somehow. You never really win these positions. You just pretend for a while. So yeah, queen e3 is my current favorite, but I don't really know. Queen e3, black could also entertain ideas of knight takes a2 actually. Just keeping the tension in the position and picking up a reasonably relevant pawn in the process. Why not? I mean,
actually, why can't we just do that?
Yeah, next move, please, kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah, might just be this queen a7 stuff again. Might be.
Yeah, but then I'm extremely happy with that with black. Obviously, I take on e4, I take on g3, I go rook e7, and I even pretend for a while, unsuccessfully, but
depending on who you're playing against.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very surprised. With your white games, you really want to find positions where you can incrementally increase the pressure. And playing such a forced line, which is also just a very well-known line, really feels like you're playing into Hikaru's hands if you're Magnus Carlsen. And you can see on the clock, Hikaru nearly 5 minutes up on the clock. Not that that's such a big deal in a position like this, but if we're trying to find ways to keep the game alive here as Magnus, I think it is relevant. And I agree with you, Peter. I think Magnus is now in bailout mode. I think he was like, well, that experiment didn't really work out. Let's just make a draw and move on to the next. I don't see Magnus trying to be optimistic here. I don't see even
Well, I mean, he would like to, but I don't think the position allows for it very much. I just think it's time for him. It's time for him to make sure that he doesn't have to defend something unpleasant.
And most importantly, remember, guys, you can't agree a draw in this tournament before move 40. Yeah, it's 40, I think, not 30. So there is no way for Magnus to just offer draws here. If he's potentially can be slightly worse. And you can see even in the webcam, he doesn't look the happiest of chaps, does he? And
not particularly, no.
Yeah, the body language doesn't scream this was a resounding success, does it? I mean, Magnus is savvy enough to understand that, and he's gone queen d2, which is it similar? I guess this is the sort of thing where it's the same line as with queen e3. We don't lose the rook, yeah. So he can take. Well, he can also just take, or f5, f4 maybe. If f5, why isn't this good for black after f5, f4? Actually,
well, bishop d5 check still works. I don't think much changed.
Probably you have to play bishop d5 check.
But I'm not unhappy about it, so.
No. Okay. So has black got anything better?
Well, we can still take on a2, I assume, but yeah, it always feels like once we're taking on a2, there should be some way to very successfully trade everything for white.
Well, something like,
yeah, bishop g6 and maybe queen d7 in the end, or whatever it ends up being.
Don't really want to go queens. Oh, maybe you could even do it. Maybe even this is a draw with rook d7. Maybe even this is a draw, potentially. But again, black is running no risk in these ones. So I wonder if he will just go knight. What if he, one line we haven't looked at is what if he goes takes, and just takes? So
fe, actually maybe even rook takes e4. This is quite safe for white and could end up being ever so slightly worse for black, maybe. But frankly, no. Just take on a2, go bring it back to c3. It's clearly fine.
Yeah. Looks like then Hikaru with lots of options here. It's very difficult to make a mistake here. I mean, moves like
Yeah, it should be reasonably safe here,
H6
regardless.
would be a mistake. H6 would be a mistake. King H8 would be a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it is still very possible to just go badly wrong, but yeah, should be a reasonably safe position for Hikaru to just find the best way not to be in any danger.
Agreed. And actually, it's a sort of game, depending on what Hikaru chooses, sort of game where, if you get these endings, suddenly they can start blitzing out moves and the game can end quite quickly. I think we're massively odds on for a draw here in game one. And Hikaru won't be upset about this at all.
Of course, I think he's fine with the, a reasonably, smooth first game, making a draw with the black pieces, seemingly completely untroubled from start to finish, well prepared, did not get phased by a somewhat unexpected choice of opening there. All good things. So.
Agreed. And with Hikaru being white in the next, it'd be really interesting to see what Hikaru wants to test from Magnus. Is he going to continue playing 1e4? Is he going to switch back to d4? We've seen, I have to say, only really from Daniil Dubov, this event, Peter. We've not seen many knight f3s, c4s.
Yeah, Ding played some of that. Dubov himself actually not so much. Dubov played a lot of mainline Catalan this tournament.
Yes.
With the white pieces, so less so in his case.
Well, we do have the line we were looking at, so takes.
Yeah, takes, and just take on a2 here. Yeah, it's just very difficult to imagine how you will be worse.
Yeah, I mean
bishop takes c7 kind of creates a threat of bishop d6. So but you play rook c8, bishop d6, rook fe8, and you're not really running any risks here. Knight comes back to c3, and then you start attacking the somewhat weakened queen side. It's fine. It's just fine.
I wonder if white runs any slight risks in these positions.
Nah. I think there's always some kind of rook a1, rook a7, which leads to...
Yeah, because there's always going to be, worst case, you get 3 versus 2 on the king side, which is obviously holdable. So yeah, it's just almost certainly going to be a draw here. And a good start for Hikaru. Knight a2 has been played. And let's see.
Yeah, taking the most pragmatic approach here, not looking for anything fanciful. Just making sure he is not worse. And some of his time advantage has gone though, but also the position is just very, very simple now. It's difficult to imagine either of them going badly wrong here.
Kiss. Big fan of Kiss, Peter?
The glam rock group, or?
I don't mean Gene Simmons, no. I mean, keep it simple, stupid. That's what I tell all my students, right? This is the typical position where being overly glamorous with black can suddenly your knight's trapped and try and be, no need.
Yeah, I think that's a very practical decision, and there's leaving yourself with almost no scope to go wrong is generally, I think, a good idea.
Okay.
So curious what Magnus is trying to weigh here. Like what's giving him pause? Apart from bishop takes c7, there's maybe some point to rook d7, but after knight c3, you probably still play e5, and that doesn't really feel all that great because you haven't even regained material parity yet.
No.
Although rook c8 e6 might be quite dangerous for black, actually. Maybe this is what he wants to do. Rook c8 e6 might be a way to try and lose this for black, f e6, bishop b5 being a major problem.
Be a problem. Okay, so rook d7.
I'm pretty sure knight c3 cannot be a mistake, but after e5 we just need to make one careful move somewhere. Maybe something along the lines of c6, rook a7, rook e6, and just chill.
Chillax.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks completely fine. Solid as a rock, isn't it?
It is very solid, yeah. It is
No,
very solid.
No, must be many ways, but it would be interesting to see if Magnus decides to do that, or if he just goes bishop takes c7 and admits that this was a slightly.
Well, he's back to giving Hikaru a 3-minute handing. He's gone rook e3.
e3.
So he is actually trying here. The point being, of course, that c3 is the comfortable square for this knight to go to, and if you choose b4, then after bishop takes c7, bishop d6 is now a proper threat, something to really start worrying about. Is f5 any good right now? Trying to sort of fight fire with fire. Threatening the pawn on e4, threatening f4 as well, very importantly.
Rook a3, I guess?
Yeah, rook a3, now we go knight b4.
And now?
And we claim that everything comes off somehow. Why are you giving me a pawn on e4 for free? I think you go ef first.
No, I'm not. I wanted to go bishop. There's rook f1 check. Sorry.
There's rook f1 check. I can also take with the rook on e4. Yeah, let's go ef and then rook a7 and see if it's better for white or if it's nothing. Ef, let's say rook f5, rook a7. Should be a draw. Should be a draw somehow, like maybe rook c5 makes an immediate draw, maybe something like that. Rook c5, rook c7, I take, I go rook c8, and there's really not very much left. Although after bishop b5, yeah, it's actually Magnus will be very happy to continue playing this position forever.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. It's probably still a draw, but not a fun one with rook landing on d7.
Clever.
Okay, so what's the proper way to make a draw here? Is c3 a threat we need to be really worried about? Because I think knight c1 probably saves that knight. I don't know if c3 actually captures anything.
No, it doesn't.
And the reason I'm asking is I'm wondering if I can just play rook e7 and say I'm not bothered, you know. Just rook e7, intending to then start running with the knight towards good squares.
Rook e7 here.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's an actual threat. You know, if c3 knight b1 is knight c1 is fine, then I don't want to, you know, expend more energy than I need to. But c3 knight c1 c4 maybe worries me a little bit.
Nah.
With the idea of rook c3.
I ain't worried about, as to quote a very famous chess grandmaster, I ain't worried about 9. Rook b8?
Yeah, rook c3, rook b3. We are actually probably worried.
I'm getting mated, by the way.
Yeah, we are actually worried here.
I'm blundering, mate.
I think after rook e7, c3, c4 might be close to winning, so we don't do that.
Really?
Looks very scary to me. I think the combination of us somewhat weakening the back rank, and also the knight on c1 does appear to be troubled. So rook e7 looks very dangerous.
Okay.
I've seen a question in chat if Hikaru can play f5. Yeah, f5 was what we started off with. I think he is still slightly worse after rook a3 there. So I mean, it's not a forced draw. He should be able to make a draw there, but it doesn't appear to be absolutely risk-free. So this is a good attempt by Magnus.
What about just trying to exchange a pair of rooks off the board?
Yeah, I was wondering about rook g8. Rook eg3 maybe is a bit of a problem. hoping to connect my pawns and then win the c7 pawn and claim that my structure is slightly better, but probably is a draw anyway. Like take knight b4, bishop c7, rook c8 or something. It really isn't very much.
I don't like that though. Like if that's the best we have to do, like
yeah, he's played rook d8.
I think it's interesting.
It's a sensible choice, fighting for the open file, also hoping to reduce the material a little bit. Are we not worried at all about? No, we're not. I was wondering about some kind of rook d8 followed by rook a3, but I think that shouldn't be very. Hang on, let's look at this for a second. Takes rook a3.
Takes rook a3.
Yeah, knight before c3. Probably is a draw though, but it's a bit awkward because knight c6, rook a6 is actually kind of unpleasant. So you might have to play something like knight d3, bishop takes c7, rook e8, or there's knight f2 check there. No, you can go knight d3 here.
What?
Bishop c7.
Knight f2 here.
Yeah, rook c8 here and knight f2 next move.
Why aren't we going rook a7?
Rook a7, c5. You just like that pawn is going to be very safe. So I think that's just fine for black.
Oh yeah, we're already a pawn up, aren't we? I keep on forgetting we can actually give a pawn back here and be level on material, which is kind of relevant. Okay.
Yeah, down to less than 2 minutes for Magnus and 3 for Hikaru. So they are going to start blitzing anytime now. But the position is, I think, sufficiently depleted of tactics for neither of them to be much worried about the clock.
Rook d3. This is a Magnus kind of move, because he likes to repair his structure.
Yeah, I think aesthetically it's the move you want to make. Yeah, but it's really not very much here. Rook c8 is really isn't. Yeah, we just go knight c6 and f6 and king f7, and yeah, we're just not really all that worried about any of this.
No. Certainly more things to worry about in the world than this position as black.
Absolutely, yeah. I still expect this to happen. I think this is, the way to continue the game without forcing something. Because with the pawns on c2 and d4, if you go for, some line like the one we described with takes rook a3, I think it's extremely likely that the entire queen side disappears, and you never win that. Like a7, c7 gets traded for c3 somehow, or for the e4 pawn, and then it's just extremely level. So rook d3 is an attempt to keep your structure in a shape that doesn't allow black any immediate draws. The problem is black just doesn't need an immediate draw there because he is not worse. So he is fine, making a longer term one. But I guess Magnus also didn't believe in his winning chances there.
Yeah, rook a3 in exactly this position, knight b4, c3.
Yeah, I expect knight d3 here, and I expect Hikaru to hold this really with pretty much no trouble whatsoever. Don't see him losing.
Yeah, knight d3. The point being, if bishop takes c7,
you just go rook c8 first, and if you take on a7, we pick up the pawn on e4, and yeah, black is just not worse at all. There's zero risk. c4, f6, or h5, or any move.
Yeah, you can't actually untangle here.
Yeah, like black is maybe slightly better here because white is just.
You can't ever approach because king f1, knight d2. If you have
Hikaru has gone for some kind of an immediate draw instead. c3 rook. He went knight c6 and then rook d3. I blundered rook d3. Yeah, and now he goes h5 and it's just a draw. Yeah. h5 or once again or f6 or king f8. I don't think it may.
We'll go h5.
It makes a blind bit of difference here. Any of those, rook a7, rook c3, and then they just shake hands. Yeah.
Well, they can't shake hands, but
yeah, Yeah, rook d3 is a nice spot by Hikaru, making sure that there's nothing to even talk about there.
Rook e3.
Yeah, and against somebody on 10 seconds, you could maybe even pretend with black here a little bit, because sometimes this e-pawn actually gets picked up the way the pieces are, because the king is a little bit too far away. But obviously, you don't really expect Magnus to lose this with white.
Do we win this e-pawn? Hold on.
No, the thing is, it's still a draw if you do. So it's kind of irrelevant.
I understand, but
it's kind of irrelevant. But
you don't want to allow h4, rook e3, and then.
Yeah. He's gone h3, h4 himself, and
this is he's just giving up on the e-pawn.
Yeah.
No,
well, actually, it's not that easy to pick up. Even you can go rook a4 here and continue kind of harassing the king when it comes out.
Yeah.
But I mean, the more general point is you go g3, king g2, and like that 2 against 3 is just a dead draw.
Yeah,
there's just nothing doing there.
Yeah, king e5,
and now we go rook a7. Yeah, we obviously don't give it up without asking black to do something. And Hikaru just instantly goes king f6. He's not really very interested in asking those questions of somebody he knows will be capable of answering them. So yeah, the game is done.
A draw to start things off. And if you're, if you had to say who's the happier of the two, clearly Hikaru Nakamura, big winner to a certain extent.
Well, big winner is maybe a bit of an overstatement, but obviously, making up a comfortable draw from a position of even maybe relative strength with the black pieces against Magnus in game one he's going to be very fine with this result.
Yeah, it's almost as if he's survived a service game in tennis.
Mm-hmm.
He's or he's got the
the tennis comparisons kind of break down a little bit because there is no draw result on your opponent's serve, and it's, I think, you can't compare this to a break. This is not a broken serve, but it's a neutralized serve.
All right,
and now he gets to play white.
And he gets to play white. What we're going to do is we're going to take a very quick commercial break. And we'll be back in just a jiffy. Hikaru Nakamura will have the white pieces. Will he continue slowly sort of getting the upper hand, albeit very, well, it's too soon to say, but certainly Hikaru will be feeling very confident after that first game. We'll soon see. We'll be back in just a jiffy.
Chess is simple. You just make the right moves.
It's time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Move Trainer empowers you to go from the opening to the end game with confidence. It's a seamless, effective, and fun way to study chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses, including over 100 free courses. Get expert insights from International Master John Bartholomew, Grandmaster Sam Shankland, International Master Christoph Sulecki, Grandmaster Simon Williams, World Champion Magnus Carlsen, and hundreds of other instructors. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts at chessable.com. Chessable, take control of your journey towards chess mastery.
Now anyone can learn and improve their chess skills with the world champion, Magnus Carlsen. The Magnus Trainer app is packed with fun mini-games and interactive training content, playable anytime, anywhere. Get the Magnus Trainer, available in the App Store and Google Play.
Every battle is won by preparation. We've taken one of the most popular chess books ever written and rewired it for the modern player, The Art of Attack. Learn with Chessable's state-of-the-art Move Trainer technology, presented by myself, Grandmaster Simon Williams. I'll talk you through 29 hours worth of educational video content, from attacking the uncastled king, bishop sacrifices, diagonal attacks, and classic pawn storms. Paint your opponent's king into a corner with The Art of Attack.
E5, it's E5 Patzers.
A complete repertoire against 1E4 based on 1E5, now available to study with Chessable's unique Move Trainer technology. The backbone is the Marshall Gambit against the Spanish, with 3 Knight F6 against the Italian. Jan Gustafsson has revisited all these lines he has played for 20 years and worked on as a second for Peter Lecco and Magnus Carlsen, amongst others, with the help of the most powerful engines out there, Leela 0 and Stockfish 10. This has led to many new discoveries and a repertoire ready to master on Chessable that can serve the student for a long chess career.
Maybe E4 doesn't exist after all.
E5, it's E5 Patzers.
For most chess players, it has never been about becoming the next greatest, but about defining your own path, your own style of play. Nobody could define that for you. But perfecting your style takes practice. Introducing Alex Astane Lopez, International Master. Sign up for CoChess Waitlist and train with Alex to bring out the unique player in you. Train smart, play smart. CoChess.com.
Positional play doesn't mean indifference. It doesn't mean repetitiveness or adequacy. Positional play means outsmarting your opponent. Do just that. Introducing Raluca Skircha, Woman International Master. Sign up for the CoChess waitlist and train with Raluca to bring out the unique player in you. Train smart, play smart. CoChess.com.
Chess is
Welcome back, everybody. This is Chess 24, the Heritage Chess Tournament. It's game 2 in the Clash of the Titans, Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura. Game 1 was a very, very quiet game by all standards, and a very easy draw for Hikaru Nakamura. Let's be honest about it. Hikaru cruising with the black pieces, pretty much didn't have to work that hard to make a draw. He'll now get the white pieces against Magnus. And we'll be looking to put on the pressure, and we'll see what he comes up with. Peter, yeah, not really too much to say. Hikaru cruised through that first game.
Yeah, he did have to take a few, I don't know if you will call them difficult, but precise decisions sort of coming out immediately after the end of the opening phase. In particular, the sequence of knight b4, queen c3, and rook d8 was good. None of those moves taken separately are particularly difficult, but it's important to make sure you keep things under control. And we do have moves in the second one, and Hikaru sticks with 1e4, which, you know, if yesterday is anything to go by, it promises some excitement, because in particular that game 1, that was about as lively an anti-Berlin as we've seen in a lot of time. And
Magnus is not at his desk, apparently, so we will not see the first move just for a while. I guess he's rushing back. But the game...
Yeah, I was wondering if he's going to do the AFK cosplay there, but
the
apparently
jacket
not.
has come off. It's business time. No
yeah.
jacket. Okay. E4, E5, knight F3. And knight C6, indeed. Bishop B5. A6. Okay, so Magnus going for more standard lines here, and he goes for the open Spanish. Ooh, one of my own little favorites. He played this against MBL at the London Chess Classic, but he played a slightly weirder line. Now he's going for an absolute mainline open Spanish. So let's see which system Hikaru goes with here. Queen E2.
Yeah, Queen E2 is a low-key, quite serious attempt against the open. You do need to know what you're doing here with black, as is, you know, the case often, obviously, in any opening. But supposed to not give very much if black plays precisely. Trying to remember exactly how the main line goes.
Well,
I think it's bishop c5, bishop e3. Bishop c5, bishop e3, you take, you play castles, white plays c4, bc4, queen c4. Rook d1, knight e7 first, yes. Rook d1, knight e7, no, hang on.
Oh, no, this isn't right. Rook d1.
And he's already not played bishop c5, so all of this goes out the window. He's played bishop b7. He goes bishop b7, and this is... I think, yeah, it could be quite interesting. It's one of the sharper lines against the open, if you don't consider the absolute tabia of you know, the current era, the long line starting with knight b2, knight c5, c3, which you know, result in that position with the pawn on d3, where there's often theory up to move 35 if both players want to check their knowledge. This is better because this I think allows for you know, less memory competition. And no, it's actually here the line I was going with. Yeah, c4, bc4, bishop c4, bishop c5. It's actually here.
Yeah.
Now it's back. Yeah, bishop c5 here. Bishop b3 takes, queen b8. Yeah. Forces bishop b3 pretty much. Knight a5. And I think current thinking is this is equal, but white occasionally gets a little bit of a nibble here. There are some really long forcing lines in this sub-variation of the open, which I think require decent precision from black. If you don't remember exactly what you're supposed to be doing here, you might have to defend a little bit of an unpleasant endgame somewhere.
And Hikaru playing a tempo pretty much. So he obviously either looked at this before, thinking that there was a chance that Magnus would play this, or had looked at it recently. Bishop c4, bishop c5. now on the board. Bishop e3, all been seen before. You have to take on e3 here.
Yeah, I think up to queen b8, bishop b3, and maybe even knight a5, it's supposed to be more or less forced, because you are going to be quite a bit worse if you don't do that. But well, after knight a5, I think there's both knight bg2 and maybe even knight d4 is a move here. There were some very high-profile games starting from this position. I think Anish Giri played this. We could dig up the. Actually, I will, just for my clarity.
Yeah, you dig it up.
For my clarity, let me just check what the current state of this is. Let me just check. Sorting by white rating, we get. Yeah, there is a Caruana-Giri game from 2016, which ended in a draw. Hikaru himself played this with the black pieces in 2008 against Vasily Ivanchuk, so he is not unfamiliar. And there are 3 games reasonably recently with Giri with the white pieces against Shah, Vichy, and Gabor Pap. And he was, I think, winning against Pap, but less sure about the other ones. So quite a bit of traffic in recent years, mainly involving Anish. All these games have ended in a draw, unsurprisingly, because there is a lot of very forcing variations, and when you get sort of heavy super grandmaster traffic in these lines, they tend to know what they're supposed to be doing. But as mentioned, white does have some chances, in particular if he manages to catch his opponent a little bit by surprise, and black doesn't exactly remember all the move orders everywhere.
So bishop b3. So is knight a5 the exclusive move here, pretty much?
Well, you don't want to allow knight c3, and then the knight from c6 will probably never even get to go to a5.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to challenge this bishop on b3. You want to play knight a5, take on b3, play c5. That obviously harmonizes your position quite a bit here, and white will do everything in his power basically to stop that from happening and to do something about it. So there's this kind of a fight going on between those two strategic ideas.
Interesting stuff indeed. And Magnus in the tank, probably trying to recall his lines, was probably slightly surprised by this. This is, I think, a very clever choice from Hikaru. It's not this kind of open Spanishes, which are the too double-edged, where you can really run huge risks. I always felt, because I played this position as black as well, reasonably recently as well. It always felt as though white was playing with minimal risk in this position.
Yeah, I think white runs, between like 1% and 0% risk here if he knows what he's doing, and the speed with which Hikaru is doing this, I think, indicates that he has planned for this eventuality of Magnus perhaps playing the open one of these games. And I did some digging, and Magnus goes knight a5. I think Gabor Pap decided not to engage against Giri and played queen b6, but queen b6 is less of an attempt to immediately equalize. And here Fabi played knight d4 against Anish himself, which was a very, very sharp game in which Fabi was winning at some point, but objectively, with best play, it was always just zeros. And the main line is knight bg2, to which black replies with often with queen a7. And after queen a7, knight e4, we take the queen, we take on b3. No, I mean knight e4 first. You don't take on a7. You take on e4, queen e3, fe, knight b3, ab, g4, and white goes knight g4. And this endgame affords us a kind of a free push, but it should be a draw. And Hikaru goes for the. I think knight g4 is probably the more challenging of the two attempts. And this is what Fabi did against Anish. And yeah, this becomes very, very sharp, because I think the prescribed response here from black is c5. knight e6, fe, f3, c4. And white goes fe4, ed5, and does make a significant amount of progress in the center, obviously, but black also gets a few things going. You can go like ba and then knight c4 and queen b3 and so on. But white runs 0 risks, and black does at some point need to play reasonably precisely to make sure that he doesn't run into difficulties. So it's a good choice. It's a good choice by Hikaru. Very, very safe, and not without venom against potentially somebody who hasn't repeated this line very recently.
Yeah, and Hikaru just playing basically blitz chess f3 on the...
Yeah. Hikaru has gained more than a minute on the clock up to move 18, so he hasn't really had to think, which is not surprising. This is absolute mainline theory here. The game between Caruana and Giri is always noteworthy, and this one in particular was. It seemed like they were discussing a very critical, very straightforward line, which you just need to know. So we'll see how well Magnus knows this territory.
c4 played. Fe.
Yeah,
C...
Fe, Cb, d5, and here the game continued ba. Rook takes a2, knight c4, queen d4, queen b3, knight c3. I think rook a c8. It gets very, very sharp. But sharp in that black needs to be precise to make sure he doesn't lose. It's not sharp in that white suddenly starts running risks. White almost never runs any risks here whatsoever, but black does.
Very interesting, and this is going to be a bit of a test of how thorough Hikaru's preparation has been. How deep into the rabbit hole has he gone here? Because, over the years, unquestionably, Hikaru, for me, as I've mentioned many times, an absolutely great player. But I feel like one of his shortcomings, having seen him play at top level now for well over a decade, has been that the thoroughness of his preparation has sometimes been a bit lacking. I remember the starkest example was his game against Fabiano Caruana from the London Chess Classic.
Yeah, I knew you were going exactly there, because that is frankly the starkest example, but not just from Hikaru's career choices. It's just it was of the top chess games played in the last decade. Maybe it was absolutely the most the most clear-cut example of both players analyzing the same position, but one player stopping a little bit too early, and the results being absolutely disastrous. I haven't done basically any due diligence in that game. I really had only myself to blame, whereas Hikaru actually found the very critical idea there, but just stopped maybe like 1 or 2 ply too early, and therefore did not see an evaluation just plummet on his screen. Whereas Fabi and his team stayed with it for an additional 5 minutes there, seemingly, and that brought him a full point in a very, very critical game against a very strong opponent, which is these days is an absolutely priceless thing to happen for you.
Yeah, and if people are wondering which game, it's the game where he sacrificed his queen in the delayed poison pawn variation of the Najdorf. I think it was probably about 3 years ago now.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure about the year, but if you search the Caruana Nakamura games from London, you will see it's the one white won in an Najdorf.
Beautiful. All right, but we have queen d4 on the board, so that the same thing is going to be put to the test here. But it's slightly different insofar as there isn't really danger, at least at the.
White is very much driving all the action here. There's no risk involved. You are always fine. It's just a question of whether black will equalize by precise play. Rook ac8 here, as I mentioned, is what Anish played, and I think it's the correct move. I never really studied this properly on my own, so I have no analysis done by by my own hand here to fall back on. But I remember when watching the game that at some point a mistake was made which afforded White a very strong possibility. Much later on, not here, but that with precise play, it's still supposed to be just a draw.
So this looks scary for black. Yeah. So if I go rook ac8, what am I trying to do here with white?
I think we're trying to take on b2 quite simply, and we want to increase, just how many pieces we hit by that move. Basically, we want to attack everything. We don't like if you play knight takes b2 right now in the position they have on the board without including rook ac8. Rook db1 just looks very annoying. Rook c8 still exists as a move if we look at this for a second. Yeah, knight c3, knight b2.
Knight c3, knight b2.
Yeah, rook db1. You can still play rook ac8, but you probably will end up having to defend some kind of a rather unpleasant rook endgame, which you might draw or you might not. And it's clearly not ideal.
Something like this.
Something along these lines. It's just d6 in the end there, and yes, it probably is closer to a draw than not, but I assume nobody really wants to test because there are safer ways of doing things. Yeah, like maybe there's something even stronger after knight b2 here, but I don't quite see it. I think it probably is that endgame. And rook ac8 aims to preserve those options and get some additional ones for black, basically. So it makes perfect sense from that respect. And Fabi played rook d1 b1 here, which is not the most obvious move in the position, but it kind of defends against all that. To which Anish replied by knight e3, which is also a very beautiful geometric idea.
Okay.
Intending,
queen takes c3, rook
yeah, this will happen.
c3.
Queen e3, rook c3, queen takes, queen a2, rook d1 here to make sure black takes with the pawn on d5, e d5, and I think he played h3 here. And I think you kind of expected to actually, no, he played queen d4. Sorry, queen d4, rook e8. Taking, I guess, leads to a draw after something like takes, king f7, followed by rook b8, or maybe the immediate rook b8. And this is one of those lines where you will occasionally have to show precision past move 30, which is not everybody's cup of tea, obviously. So the game.
He did take on b2.
He took on b2. Yeah, I'm curious about this. I'm curious about this because it doesn't seem like it gets refuted instantly. It might very well be playable, but it's definitely not what Anish played in that game. And I think Anish was blitzing for a while, even for a while past that point. So.
So rook b1.
This is curious.
On the board. And queen c4.
Queen c4.
Wow.
Yeah, and apparently those rook endings are just bad, not because of d6, but because of d6. The computer really dislikes them. Queen c4 is a stronger move. Now white has a very beautiful geometrical trick here in playing rook a4.
What? Oh, rook a4.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, that's.
And this might end up being a draw anyway, but you do have to be careful with black, obviously. Might still be a draw after queen takes d4 and rook ac8 or something along those
So what
lines.
do? I take?
I think we take. We go rook ac8, and the thing that works in black's favor here, of course, is that so much material has already been exchanged. So margins are reasonably wide here. You should be able to survive some kind of a mildly annoying position. And Hikaru goes queen takes c4, which is, I mean, it also looks like it should be slightly better for white, but in the very, very brief time I've spent looking at the board,
Like
you could also include rook a8. I don't know if you're supposed to, because maybe rook fe8 actually. Rook fe8 doesn't look stupid here. Knight e5, knight d5 feels a bit awkward, right? Because all kinds of e7, knight c7 shenanigans start being a threat. So despite this being seemingly, a 3 against 3 endgame, you still expect black to have to make a number of precise moves. And one thing I will say that looking at this position, like you instinctively feel if Black had a pawn on h6 here, he probably never ever loses. But with the pawns on g7 and h7, having to constantly think about back rank things might be quite a bit of bother. Like I would very much like to at least consider playing rook f5 in this position, but rook f5 immediately allows rook takes a6 among other things. Exactly. Oh no, there's rook f8 in the end. Sorry, I'm talking nonsense. So maybe rook f5 is not unplayable, with the intention of taking on e5 with the rook, obviously, and also moving that rook away from all those dastardly forks with knight d5.
It's so wrong, this move, but maybe it's all right, you know?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Like 95 rook, if we want to actually find a way to get this tactic to work, rook f5, I can play knight d5, rook takes e5, and take on a6 here.
Oh wow,
and that actually works, and that might be quite strong actually. For all we know, this might be an actual problem for Black very easily.
Wow, brilliant by Hikaru Nakamura. I think absolutely on point strategically. The choice, being able to prepare, play it quickly, play it confidently, having looked at it, and look at the time difference. Magnus Carlsen just with 3 minutes. Hikaru has more time than when he started. This
is move 26, by the way.
Yeah.
This is move 26, by the way. Magnus is down to 3 minutes, and Hikaru is chilling on 15-20. So, yeah, that's obviously a problem.
I tell you what, this is an absolutely critical moment, actually. Everything up to here has been kind of forced in inverted commas. It's, you know, now Magnus, you feel as though if he goes slightly awry here, he could just lose this game very easily.
Yeah. I think second game in a row, the opening choice doesn't quite work out for Magnus, and very, very well played by Hikaru for second game in a row here. He diffused the arguably not a very dangerous line by Magnus in game one, but you still have to be precise, and it's still Magnus. And coming very prepared for the open in game two. Rook f5.
Rook f5 has been played. Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
what?
And I've seen chat mention that rook f5 and rook e8. I assume probably the f rook, although it wasn't specified being the two top choices. But knight e5, I don't know how that my idea is refuted. I'm not entirely sure how you actually make a draw after knight d5 and rook a6. Maybe you play something like. Yeah, what are you supposed to do here?
Rook on the back rank. Rook.
Yeah, somewhere like maybe rook d8 is 7,
rook
e8 or something.
Sorry. I'm blundering everything.
Yeah, maybe rook e8 or either rook e8, knight c7, rook c8 or something, or rook d8 e7. Because I think after rook d8 e7 you cannot take another. No, go back to just that position. Yeah, so rook d8 e7. E7. I think after rook takes d5, rook f1 wins. As far as I could figure it out, I think rook f1 wins here.
Wow.
Creating a mating threat of rook a8 check, and then we win the exchange. And I assume 2 against 2 with an extra exchange is winning. There will be some technical issues, but I think eventually this should be a win.
Yeah, something like this is what Peter is alluding to.
Yeah, and chat says rook f8 even, but that's with a similar idea after rook a6. Rook
and this
f8.
is on the board. Rook a6 on the board. Magnus Carlsen. Is he going to be on the receiving end today? He can't be happy with.
No, I don't think you enjoy this with Black. Yeah, he's gone rook e8, which I mentioned as a second possibility, but not something that chat was informing us was the best move here. It's obviously, you know, if Black doesn't get blown out sort of immediately here, he should eventually make a draw because the pawn on e6 gets rounded up. But yeah, it's very much a touch and go here, because like knight c7, you probably play rook c8, but the knight isn't even hanging. So, so you get a tempo to
You
do
have a
something.
move here, yeah.
Yeah, you get a move to do something proactive.
Something like rook.
So rook c6 scares me a great deal here, because I think I can play rook c6, and let's say after knight e3 or something, a knight a5 might be a good move. But after knight but then we go, I don't know, rook c3, and the knight on a5 is like, it's not the best square for this knight. It has no moves currently.
And also, there are all kinds of tactics like king f8, e7 check, I see.
Yeah. No, you can very easily blunder things here.
Knight e6, and if king takes e7, you have knight d5. But king d8 might...
King d8 might still hold, yeah. Knight c7 played. Magnus has gone rook d8. Interesting.
Well, now it's just a pawn. I mean, it's...
Yeah, and but as mentioned, it's the pawn is so far advanced that somewhat surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, the point I wanted to make is, if we have the same position but the pawn is on e4, white has the option of, let's say trying to trade one pair of rooks, just preserve the pawn on e4 alive, bring the king over to e3, and just play a long game, try to convert it this way.
Right.
Whereas with the pawn on e6, you just need to win, because there is just no way you can get the king from g1 to support it in time. So if you don't win more or less immediately, it will end up being a draw long term, because black pieces will just surround this pawn and pick it up.
Rook c6 on the board.
I think we have to go knight e3. Okay, I don't really see any other squares making any sense. We need to like go knight e3, intend to... If rook e1, we have knight g4 relevantly, and you cannot take on e5 because you get mated on the back rank. And we want to swing that knight over to
nice.
e6.
That's very nice. Black ranks in both directions. It's kind of rare with f pawns removed. But...
Yeah, and I've seen a plus 5.5 from Sese in chat already. So.
Wow.
Apparently something has gone wrong here for Magnus. I'm guessing rook e8, rook d8 wasn't the way to go. I'm guessing it actually made a lot of difference. It's very, very difficult to analyze it on the fly without the use of computers. It's one of those positions where...
Knight e3 played.
Knight e3 played. Maybe rook d6, d7 wins or something. I don't know.
I was thinking that. Can we distract this rook? Rook d6.
Yeah, he just goes rook d6 instantly. Yeah, rook d6, rook c8, rook d7. Maybe this just wins, and there's just no stopping e7.
Oh, that's it. e7. So knight f5, and you just go g4 or what?
Yeah, why not? Like we're not worried. e7 next move. Like why wouldn't we?
Oh, flawless performance by Hikaru Nakamura. The best chess I've seen him play for a long time, these past two matches. And today he's getting into the sort of gear which can make him unplayable.
Yeah, this is, a combination of very, very good prep, sort of targeted prep against something Magnus hasn't actually played all that much, which makes it even more impressive. And you do have to assume he was in book up to maybe even move 29, but the moment Magnus gave him an opportunity, he just pounced. He is very, very good at pouncing. Yeah, now e7 just wins. King h7, we go e8, and I guess we just go rook e1 in the end there, and probably you don't even unpin yourself. Maybe you don't even have to go e8. Maybe rook e1 first wins on the spot, actually.
But this is...
Yeah, rook e1, rook e5 here, you still have to work a little bit. But rook e1 immediately, I think, wins.
Rook e1, that's what he's done.
Yeah, rook e1 first wins more than a rook, basically. Well,
that's
more than an exchange, yeah.
More than a woman. That is sublime by Hikaru Nakamura. Magnus Carlsen resigns an absolute... Well, I've got no more hyperboles. It was just pure class. Hikaru Nakamura, the preparation was spot on. It was absolutely great. He knew the sorts of positions he could get. He was playing for two results at Magnus, even though the computers might be saying 0-30, 0-40 or whatever, and it's a draw. It doesn't matter. It's all about how easy it is to play over the board. Computers can play these positions. If you're a human, you just can't navigate it as accurately. And with that win, Hikaru is now huge favorite to make.
Yeah, we've seen yesterday Magnus try for 3 games in a row to win a game, to go back to level footing and not succeed. And today he only has 2. Frankly, yeah, from the 2 we've seen so far, it's not very clear where the win is coming from. He will have to somehow refocus, recenter himself in the 10 minutes he has between this one and the next one. In particular, I think the next one is going to be very, very decisive, because against Hikaru, on this form, playing against him for a win with the black pieces in game 4, if it is a must-win game, will be a very, very tall ask. So Magnus needs to put, I think, everything into his next white game.
We might have an all-in situation here for Magnus Carlsen, as Peter said. You don't want to leave it to playing black against Hikaru, who's clearly in form. That really is a very tall order. So he's going to have to now speak to his coach, PH. I'm sure he'll be on the line with Peter Heine now, trying to, think of a way to just get the sort of position where he feels comfortable, he can play. It's not too theoretical. Things can't, like, for example, this 4 knights choice in the first game. I have to say, I'm a big fan of Magnus Carlsen, but I think it was a very, very poor choice, objectively speaking. Not just because of what Hikaru played and that it's already well known, but even the other lines there, you feel as though black has got many ways. I don't know why he didn't go down a mainline Scotch with knight takes c6 and e5. Maybe he was just expecting Hikaru to play the bishop c5 Scotches, as we saw already. But I didn't like that choice. I really think he has to try something else. What about playing, some kind of English, for example, as white here?
I would like to see something that keeps more pieces on the board. Frankly, I think he gave himself, as we were mentioning, even before the game was quite effortlessly drawn by Hikaru. So we're not really all that results orientated here. He has to give himself a more complicated position than the one he got. It did require a few good moves from Hikaru, but I think, nobody is surprised by this point that Hikaru plays good moves. That's what he does. So you do need to give yourself a little bit of more scope to create mayhem, to ask questions, because game one, you just don't expect you win very many of those.
Okay, well, Magnus Carlsen, in need of something special. We've seen it from him before, though. I mean, if you could pick a guy to do the old bounce back immediately, would be Magnus. That's why he's world champion. If you think of all the spots he's been in his career, you think of the match against Karyakin, where I think he lost and then bounced back, either the game after that. I can't actually recall. It was very, very soon. So many times in tournaments we've seen him manage to magic something up. He's going to need that right now. I fear if he doesn't win this game, I think Hikaru is just going to make it.
I think if the next game is a draw, Hikaru is. I mean, he's already a massive favorite. The way today has been going, +1 with 2 to go, you feel like he is way ahead. But if he doesn't lose with black, the odds become kind of overwhelming for game 4.
Okie dokie. It's going to be. I'm excited about this one. This is going to be very, very intense. Remember, guys, in the meantime, make yourselves premium members of Chess24. We've got the deal, 2 months for the price of 1. If you want to try it out, if you want to go for a full year, of course, you can find all the details on chess24.com/premium. We've also got the Chessable courses. Remember, guys, if you want to learn how to play like Magnus, which I know I certainly would, get yourselves over to chessable.com/Magnus. The course the Magnus Touch. Magnus Carlsen teaching chess. Pretty much a first for a world champion to create courses like this. So you'll be able to see that. And then, of course, we've got some other brilliant chessable courses, recent courses, my favorite being Attacking with the One and Only Ginger GM Simon Williams, one of the greatest attacking players England has ever produced, my good friend, and a man who knows how to attack. His defense, meh, not so. But give him an attacking position, he'll throw Harry, the H-pawn, Arnold, the A-pawn, at you, and with great success. chessable.com/art-of-attack. 50% off now. And remember, this tournament is all about the Lindores Abbey Heritage and Preservation Society, the great traditions that stem from Lindores Abbey, from the spiritual to the not so spiritual, without going into details. Please, all of your support will help in Lindores Abbey's mission to conserve one of Scotland's most important heritage sites. Over 800 years old, and one of the birthplaces for chess in the UK. Reports of them playing chess many, many years ago there. So make sure you check that out. It's certainly a place I would like to go to when I get back to the UK. Might take a trip up north and try it out. So the next game, I'm not exactly sure when the next game is. It's probably going to be next 2-3 minutes, Peter.
Yeah, it should be reasonably soon. Yeah, about 3 minutes from now.
Yeah, and I'm sure at the moment Magnus Carlsen fans don't really get nervous, but I think this is a moment where being slightly nervous for Magnus is warranted. Very, very rare where you think of a match situation now where you don't expect Magnus to come back in. But I have to say, I may be proven wrong. I think Hikaru has found a very, very difficult level to deal with. Everything has been wrong. It's not just that he's playing well. It's just that the preparation has been on point. The types of position has been on point. The time management has been just exceptional. I mean, he's just making Magnus, use all of his time. So Magnus now really needs a switch up in strategy. I just don't think he can continue playing the sort of stuff he's been playing. He needs to try and find a position where he can just play a game of chess.
Yeah, he's already played the English yesterday, right, in game 4 when he needed to win with the white pieces. I expect something along those lines. Just a position with still a lot of pieces on the board, difficult strategic choices to be made constantly, and once again, opening advantage really not that relevant. It's just how much life is left in the position by move 15, and he wants as much of it as possible. But yeah, to echo your sentiments, I think over the past 2 days, Hikaru has been clearly the more consistent player, and he deservedly finds himself within 2 games of progressing to the finals, where he will start, I think, on this form as a heavy favorite against Dubov. Although
now, I do want to just mention something, because I can just see it now. Okay, I can just see it now. I'm not watching any of the chats because I'm controlling Jan's screen, but just because Hikaru finished with more or less the time he started on, right? And just because we're not using engine, he probably played with 100% accuracy or close to it, does not mean he has cheated in this. Let's just make sure.
Why is this even a topic? There was it's theory until move 29.
Exactly.
You had to make 4 moves in this game,
exactly.
and I don't say this as a criticism. It's extremely good pinpoint correct preparation, but it is theory for. I'm pretty sure he knew everything up to maybe knight c7, and the first move he needed to make in this game was rook c6. And it took him about 30 seconds to find the winning line after Magnus misstepped with rook d8. So, like, none of this reflects poorly on Hikaru, but the whole talk of him having like 100% accuracy in this game. When you play heavily theoretical lines, you will occasionally get games where people make no inaccuracies, let alone no mistakes. There is no cheating here. There's just somebody who plays well and also prepared excellently.
Yeah, absolutely zero chance of there being any.
Yeah, I really don't understand this topic even coming up here.
Yeah.
When you take elite chess players playing heavily theoretical lines, you get games like this, and it's absolutely fine. And we have game 3 started, so let's get to that.
Yeah, we do. And what do we have here? We have a. Okay, so Magnus has switched to d4 and he's gone for the bishop f4, queen's gambit decline. We've seen Hikaru play this countless times over the past few months. It's felt like
in particularly in the MCI, it seemed like his every black game started from this position, basically. And he was tortured quite a bit, and particularly in the c5 lines. Although I believe Magnus also won a game against him after bishop e2 as well. But bishop e2 followed by what Magnus is currently doing, I don't exactly recall. And this is where you would like to have either Jan Gustafsson or Peter Leko on your screens. Because,
how dare you?
What, you are a Queen's Gambit decline specialist now?
I mean, I've got more notes on this than I've got, packets of pasta due to lockdown in my cupboard. No, I've never seen this position before.
Yeah, and it does appear as if this might actually be a genuine gambit, because White is currently in no hurry whatsoever to win this pawn on c4 back. And I suspect if Black really, really wanted, he could like hang on to it for dear life and maybe not give it back. But it would require some contortions, and that I think would make Magnus quite happy, because he would get exactly the kind of position he needed. Knight fd5 played, bishop g3 blitzed out. Yeah, some position like this where White ends up playing, let's say, e3, e4, the knight goes to b4, and White never really even attempts to win that pawn back for the foreseeable. He just plays around it, saying, I have more space, I have potential for some kingside attacks if my pieces get there fast enough. And you just don't have much space to operate on. Of course, you could also switch back to something like knight d2 takes c4 to try and win that pawn back, or knight e5 takes c4. Hikaru goes c5. After Black plays c5 in these types of positions, often the pawn on c4 does get picked up later, because it becomes, with the open d file, it becomes a lot more difficult, I think, to hang on to it. But c5 also is a very logical move, trading things in the center, getting some more breathing space for your pieces. We'll see what Magnus has in mind here.
Well, he's going to play rook ad1. You would think pretty sharpish here.
Rook ad1 is, rook fg1 probably not ad1. Rook fg1 looks very logical, but Black kind of prepared for it by leaving the e7 square for his queen. So Black has a very natural way of avoiding the X-ray on the G file. I was briefly interested in knight c3, e4, but Black has a very comfortable move in bishop e7, stopping all knight g5 shenanigans dead in their tracks.
But after something like rook fd1, queen e7, can White try bishop h4 just to...
Yeah, or knight b4. Actually, knight e4 kind of gains in strength
knight
here.
e4, yeah, that makes sense.
Knight e4 gains in strength here because the bishop doesn't really have good squares anymore, and it might be a little bit awkward. So rook fg1 currently is my overwhelming favorite. We have to mention bishop d7 exists. It might not be that bad. You generally would like to move the queen away from the g-file, but specifically because of queen e7, knight e4, it might be useful to start with bishop d7, just to continue having the option of retreating to e7 in that position.
Rook fd1 is on the board. So now, Hikaru, now this is a position where, it looks as though Magnus has got that kind of position where, Hikaru probably has to think. I'm not sure if he's seen this exact position before, Hikaru, but something similar.
Yeah, he's been maybe the most prominent player of that line of the past, I don't know, 5 to 10 years. He has seen some permutations of everything, basically starting from knight bd7. He shouldn't be very surprised. But Magnus back to form is playing very quickly, is still above 15 minutes. Yeah, you really have to ask yourself why was the 4 knights chosen for game 1 today?
Yeah, no, that was a really, you know, hindsight is 20/20, but ultimately it feels like a very poor choice.
Very easy to. Obviously, we're sniping from the sidelines, which is a favorite genre of everybody ever. But I think there's some validity to questioning that particular opening choice.
Great. So rook fd1. So now, Hikaru going to spend it. He knows he has to tread very carefully here because it's the sort of position where white can build quite a serious initiative if you're a bit sloppy with black.
Yeah, absolutely. Bishop d7, for instance, after bishop d7, I think knight e5 is a very serious move. Creating. In the meantime, I was trying to calculate if black can play queen e7 here. Queen e7, knight d7, and queen takes d7 specifically, because otherwise I think you're in a lot of trouble. But queen takes d7 with the intention of e4, knight b4 might still be okay tactically.
Yeah,
this might still work out because you do have this tactical way to deal with the pin along the d file. And knight takes d5, e5 also doesn't seem like it wins white very many things. You do have bishop takes c4, but you're just not much better, I think, after it. I think it's takes rook d7, b5 or something. It feels like it's just completely playable for black. Occasionally black becomes better in positions like this. Because the majority on the queen side starts running forward very quickly. So yeah, interesting position already, and I think Magnus should be quite happy about this. He's won himself 4 minutes on the clock, and the fact that Hikaru isn't blitzing here does seem to imply that he is maybe not as familiar with this particular sub-variation of the bishop e2 line as he is with some others. And there's definitely a way to go wrong here for black. So this is not a safe position by any stretch. He's gone bishop d7. So yeah, I think knight e5 is extremely critical here. There are, of course, other moves as well, but giving black an additional tempo to do something proactive here would be a big mistake. You do need to play very fast. Yeah, knight e5 blitzed out. And yeah, I think much will depend actually on whether queen e7 is playable. Hikaru goes rook c8, which is a version of the same, I guess. Might be even stronger. Actually, since we're taking on d7 with the queen, why are we spending a tempo on queen e7 even? Maybe this is much smarter. I like this. Very concrete play by Hikaru. There's also obviously an option to start with e4, but you want e4 to kind of win, because in general, I don't think it's very good for white to make the bishop on c5 more active, to lengthen the diagonal for the bishop on c5. So you want e4 to be a move that wins material, basically, and it doesn't win material here.
Alrighty. Very interesting. So
yeah, and Magnus finally stops playing instantly. Also, like, it's an incredibly positive sign for Hikaru, I think, that he's gotten to a position where his opponent starts thinking. Generally, it means that. Well, actually, this is a bit of a double-edged sword, because sometimes it means that you made a move which is so far off the optimal that it didn't even make its way into your opponent's files. But rook c8, looks like it cannot possibly be horrible. It might not be the best move in the position, but it's possibly, really, really impossible to be bad, like really, really bad. So you want Magnus to think, of course. You don't want to continue playing against an opponent who's blitzing every move out.
Yeah, and so let's, apart from ideas with e4, let's see what else white can play. So, this feels eternally slow. and probably very bad. But one idea I would have would just be to go a3, just to stop any knight b4s. Like,
now knight d7 is a threat, right? But clever.
I don't believe it somehow, but
clever.
Well, it's not that clever. It's just that knight b4 is what black is doing in all these lines. So why can't we go a3?
Huh.
As I said, listen to Gene Simmons. Keep it simple. Stupid.
That's not simple. A to a3 in this position is not simple.
It's a little pawn move. I mean, one little pawn, one square up. How more simple do you want to get?
Well, yeah, I mean, surely you jest, as they say. But yeah, a3 is a very interesting option here, basically reestablishing the threat of knight d7 and e4, and making it quite awkward for black to continue. But I think you need to be, if you don't know the move exists, because like it's very possible it's just very strong, and the machine might even suggest it. But if it's not in your file and you need to come up with it over the board, this is not an easy move to. This is not it's not a move that is impossible to come up with, because as Lawrence mentioned, you time and time again you run into black having the knight b4 option, and that option being important and good. So eventually I think it's very possible by the process of elimination simply to come to the conclusion that that option needs to be taken away from black. But still not a move that comes easily. So if Magnus plays a3 here, it means that he's finally gotten to into some sort of working order, and then we really have a game on our hands if a3 happens here.
I'll be honest, it's in my notes. So
yeah.
What other moves? Okay, if not a3, let's have a think. So
Bishop f3 is a move. Rook ac1 is a move. Like the thing is, like if nothing that is completely forcing works here, like Bishop f3 doesn't even feel like it's creating too much of a threat that black needs to respond to. Like Queen e7.
Bishop f3 feels weird to me. I don't like Bishop.
Yeah, knight before knight d3 becomes something black can play in response. No, it just doesn't feel quite right.
I got the feeling Magnus is going to play a3. That's if the juju is working today. And
yeah, but once again, it's very much a question of him. He got a bit pummeled in games 1 and 2, and he goes rook ac1, which is not a poor move, but I think it's a little bit. Hang on a second. It's also somewhat similar in nature, right? Because let's say black plays, put h6 on the board. Obviously, nobody plays h6 here. But the point is, I can take on d7 now. Queen takes d7. I can play e4, knight b4, rook takes d7, knight takes c2. And now the rook is not on a1, so it's not hanging. And we can go rook takes b7, for instance. Even though this position after knight d4 probably is just fine for black. Or at least playable. I don't know if fine is the correct word. But rook ac1 is also, like, it definitely improves the threat of knight takes d7. But I think a3 was much more on point in that regard. But it's still, it shows that Magnus understands that no direct solution existed. And something needed to be done with those pesky knight b4 ideas.
Okay, so now Hikaru, I expect to actually have a bit of a think here. I don't. This is a very, very critical moment because.
This is a difficult position because it seems like, to a degree, I understand it's a bit stupid to say that seemingly, in a position with like 29 pieces still on the board. But until some kind of a tactical resolution happens in the center here, pieces are sort of on optimal squares. Of course, black would like to play something like Queen e7, Rook fd8, but Queen e7, in a strange way, Queen e7 is like h6, only worse. Like I told you, nobody plays h6 in this position, but Queen e7 is exactly the same move because I'm pretty sure white instantly takes on d7, and you still have to take with the queen. So you basically wasted a tempo on nothing. And we get the same endgame after e4 and rook takes d7, only with the pawn on h7, which is probably in white's favor because black would like to have a luft for his king. Knight takes e3, queen takes e3. Instinctively, I would say is definitely in white's favor because you probably just end up having to give up the bishop pair and then having to give up the pawn on c4 next move, like queen e7. I take on d7.
It looks horrible.
And I take on c4 with the queen. And these types of positions are like genuinely bad. They look like not very much, but they are actually just genuinely bad, even when tactically black is not doing so poorly. And here he might be close to loss just because of how discoordinated his pieces are. Like b4 is already a huge threat here, for instance. So yeah, this is kind of unplayable. I feel like knight takes e3 is just completely unplayable. Knight b4, I think, forces white to make a move like queen e4, which, you know, you don't want to force your opponent into making good moves. Like this just feels completely counterproductive. I think it's just bad. So you come to a realization that like you start considering moves like f5, which is yeah, exactly, which is something you really don't want to do in general. But it starts feeling like maybe you just have to stop e4 like mechanically. You no longer can stop it.
Take e4.
Yeah, for instance, yeah, and white gets very good play for the pawn. Clearly, that is an option. Also, you have to calculate knight takes c4 quite simply. Maybe white can just win the pawn back and say f5 is such a weakening of your position that I can just win that pawn back and be very happy because my structure is just much more sound than yours. And we hopefully get reinforcements, which is a very welcome sign. This is a very complicated position, and I would be very happy for some additional input.
Yeah, we'll see if we get.
We'll see in a moment, but I think we get reinforcements, and that's excellent. Hello, Daniel.
Yeah, hi guys.
Still no video, but at least there's audio, which is what we need to.
I think there should be video.
There should be video eventually. For now, you are a Malevich masterpiece, but maybe you will at some point become a real boy on our screens.
All right, while Daniel fixes that video, we carry on. So knight b4 is actually
there he is.
Okay.
In all his glory. What do we think about this position?
Well, hold on a second. Let's do the pleasantries. You know, you're supposed to be an Anglophile. Welcome. How are you? How's it going? You must be feeling pretty good after such a convincing victory against Ding.
Well, I mean, I first of all feel good, yeah, because of 2-3 days. Because I realized I had to play like 5 days in a row or something.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
Which is not exactly a dream scenario. So, okay, yeah, I mean, at least I could do something else today, which is inspiring.
Great. Well, we'll talk a lot more about the final, I'm sure, in a while. But we'll just stick with this match. Knight b4 on the board, a very complicated position. What are your thoughts?
Well, it looks sort of comfortable for white. I mean, white is never worse, I guess, and like he's trying to press. It could be just much better for him, and it could be sort of okay for black, but it's definitely white who's trying. So he played queen e4 now, right?
Not yet. I think he's still thinking. Queen b1 is actually a reasonable option here, but you would want to play queen e4 because if queen e4 works out, it's just going to be so much stronger than queen b1, obviously, because I thought queen b7 wasn't a threat, but queen b7 probably is a threat, right?
Yeah.
Like, no, my biggest issue was queen e4, f5. And I was wondering, because if we cannot take on b7 there, maybe black is not that unhappy.
Yeah, but then you can go to b1 as well, yeah? I mean, very least.
Yeah, of course, but also curiously, Lawrence, if we could just play f5 here. I think I can take on b7, and the point is after rook c7, I can take on c7. I think this works out for me. I'm not 100% sure, but I think this works out for me. Queen c7, knight d7. And I think I'm much better even after f4, knight f8, because I take on e6, and that is a very strong horse.
Yeah, but even in terms of ideas, first of all, it probably works indeed, and secondly, you could just play queen f3 after rook c7, no?
I just honestly, I thought the queen was captured on b7. I'm being more than more idiotic than normal. Yeah, queen f3 also kind of wins. Yeah, so you don't have to bother. That's relevant. So what could be the intention if on Hikaru's part after queen e4? Just go back to d5 or something?
No.
No, okay, but we stopped e3, e4. You know, in a way it makes sense, because the threat was knight d7 followed by e4. So
maybe the other knight. No, the other knight is a problem.
The other knight we allow bishop takes c4. It really doesn't look great. No, I think it has to be the same knight, actually. And he goes knight 4 g5 instantly. This is a very interesting concept, because, I mean, clearly you've given white too tempi to, you know, move his queen to a better square.
But now it would be very stylish to go queen b1. So you say, okay, knight b4 is not a tempo anymore.
No, but queen f3 just looks more logical, keeping an eye on the b7 pawn. He goes queen f3. This is now looking kind of scary for black, honestly, because knight d7 e4, it was a threat prior to this moment, but it's really a threat now. Right now, it's almost a killing blow if black allows it. So I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to suggest here for black.
Yeah, it feels like he has to look for some slightly worse ending, like queen f6 maybe.
Slightly worse?
Well,
yeah, you have to question the slightly worse here. He's gone bishop a4. Oh. He's trying to solve this tactically, but yeah. I mean, first of all, I think he is much worse even if we just take on c4. And he wants to go b5 there. Okay, so that's his point. If we take on c4 with the knight, he has b5 followed by knight takes b2. Although even that honestly doesn't look like it equalizes, but takes played. Also, there's e4 right now. Isn't e4 just very strong?
Win?
e4, knight b2, and just e5, knight d1, rook d1 looks kind of crushing, no?
Yeah.
What are we missing here?
Nothing. Well, maybe we are, but I would.
But is it like that bad?
Well, the c4 pawn gets picked up, so I mean, if c4 pawn survives, yes, it's very playable for black, but I don't think it survives. I think it just gets picked up instantly.
Maybe you just go like c3, d takes c2 there, no?
e4 on the board. So hold on.
Yeah. Let's say knight takes b2, ed, knight takes d1, rook takes c3. Okay, it doesn't look like it works, but at least I'm trying.
D c2, yeah. I didn't see c2, but I kind of mistrust this. Yeah,
yeah, sure. Shouldn't work.
It feels like there's going to be some mate on the king side. Like I go rook f1 here, and then I give some mate on the king side. Like queen h.
No,
rook f1. No. c1 queen g2. Why? Bishop f4. Yeah.
And I'm going to do
maybe even that. Yeah, maybe even that. So yeah, this crisis that Hikaru prompted feels like it might favor white as an outcome. e4 played in the meantime really doesn't feel like black has anything else at all here. He needs to take on b2. There's also a question if rook d2 wins, but probably rook d2 c3 is a mistake. Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Rook takes, knight takes, yeah?
Yeah, knight takes, and then there's knight takes e2 check, and yeah, we don't want that. It's just a mess. So yeah, e5 played very quickly. We have to pick up the rook takes d1, and I think black kind of regrettably has to go like ed5 and queen somewhere, and then the pawn on c4 falls, and without the pawn on c4, these are generally just very comfortably winning positions for white. Because
you think so, yeah? Wow. I mean, e takes d5, rook takes some random move, bishop takes c4. So you think it's?
I think you just get
nice,
mated.
Yeah?
I think the f7 pawn just falls like in 3 moves, because you just don't have pieces that defend it. I think it's just bad. Yeah.
There is no loot for white still. Yeah, I mean some bishop.
Yeah, I understand. Like with the pawn on h4, there would be no argument. With the pawn on h2, maybe you can get some play, but currently I don't see what play. To be honest, it just feels lost. I think in practical terms, it's kind of c3 or bust, and c3 shouldn't work. Like logic dictates that this doesn't work out for black somehow.
But say, okay, if I just play like e takes d5, rook takes, and some, I don't know, queen.
Yeah, choose a square.
So I go to b6 if you don't play knight d7.
Okay, bishop takes c4 here.
Yeah, let's say queen b1. Queen b1, you
Rook
have rook
d1.
b1. Yeah.
No, I think you get mated. I genuinely I think you just get mated here.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Yeah. I mean, c3 just looks like it will take quite like 40 seconds to calculate, and then you will just resign. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
C3,
he's gone e5, so he's not a believer in c3. But after e5, I think white will need to make a mistake here, not to win. I think it's this kind of a position where you actually have to argue that maybe rook d5, queen a5 is his intention, to at least give a check from e1, which is
but then even h4. Yeah, I mean, I thought
h4, and then we go c3, and at least this guy survived. We probably aren't very happy anyway. Like bishop d3 probably still wins. Yeah, bishop d3, and then something will happen on the king side.
Yeah, exactly. I thought you will do it after queen b6 as well. Even there h4 looked sort of convincing to me.
I learned when I was growing up.
Also, hang on a second. We can go bishop takes c4 right now if we want, right? But honestly, I'm not sure if I'm happy allowing d takes c4, rook d8, rook d8.
But it's rook c d8, yes, and knight takes c4 simply.
Yeah, we're probably winning. Yeah. He's gone bishop c4. Yeah, I guess bishop c4 is just the easier option of the two. I mean, if you allow bishop takes d5, it's just gone, I feel. So it kind of feels like you have to give up this queen, but I don't think there's much of an expectation you save that.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Daniel. Did you ever buy the classic book Attack with Grandmaster Julian Hodgson? I don't know if you ever got that book.
Probably not.
Well, Julian Hodgson said if you've got like the bishop is worth 3, this bishop is worth 3, the knight is worth 3, the queen is worth like 9, and then the rook, and there are no defenders on the king side, it's mathematically winning. That's what Julian Hodgson said.
No, but that's sort of exactly the point in these types of positions. That basically white just has more attackers. It's not about what pieces cost. It's just that white has 5 relevant pieces and black has 4. And also, I think like the same position, if this bishop on c5 was actually on e6, would have been a much more difficult technical task, because the pawn on f7 would be covered, at least for the time being. It's still bad, but
knight takes f7 now, by the way.
Yeah, knight f7 probably works. Bishop g3 and then something. Yeah.
And then we calculate a bit, but
knight d6 c8 I guess wins. I suppose. Yeah. Just knight d6, knight c8 here.
Yeah, sure.
Should be enough. Don't really see why this isn't winning on the spot.
But it's actually nice to see that Magnus finally started doing the right things. I mean, we had a short talk yesterday, and I mean, I told him sort of like, stop this 1d4 nonsense, just go 1d4. The guy wants.
He's taken with the bishop. What is this exactly? Rook f7 now.
Like takes, knight h6, and queen g4.
Clever.
And otherwise, it's knight f5.
Yeah.
You want to do takes?
No, bishop g3 here, of course. I was worried about that for a second, but he goes knight h6 check there. He's gone king h8.
Now he's going to go knight g6. Oh, no, it doesn't work.
No. Why didn't he take with the knight? That like seems very clear cut.
No, but it's still fine. You have queen h5, bishop g6, and okay.
Yeah. That's what he's going to do. Yeah, queen h5. Why are you doing this to yourself, Lawrence? Queen takes?
Yeah, I'm getting back ranked, as always.
No, don't do that. No. Yeah. Queen h5. Daniel is correct. Queen h5, bishop b5, bishop g6.
Yeah,
h6, bishop b5, and we
rock solid. Yeah.
Yeah, there is not much left here.
Yeah, but that's what he has to do. I mean, it was sort of mysterious. So Hikaru basically, allows this Queen's Gambit decline, like always, and then you start going some random 1e4. I mean, just why do you need it?
So when you say you spoke to him, Daniel, because theoretically, you've got a great chance of, playing him in the final.
Yes.
Okay. He came to you for advice. Is that what happened?
I mean, it's not exactly that he asked for advice. We just like sometimes after the games are over, sometimes we have some short talks, like discussing what happened in the matches. But it's not like it's not like we are a team preparing like each other for the games. It's just some short advices and everything.
Okay, interesting. And this position is on the board: h6, bishop e5, king.
Yeah, and the problem for Hikaru is that after bishop e5, queen h6 is a threat. You have to go king g8, and then bishop d6 actually wins more material because surprisingly everything is protected from the white side. Nothing is hanging, so there is no back rank tactics. So if he doesn't want to allow that, he has to play queen g5 right now. But that endgame is just like beyond hopeless.
Yeah, but I would say, yeah, like out of all the things you will regret is black. I mean, bishop d6 is not on top of the list, right?
Yeah, like it's all sort of the same now, and also Magnus has 4 minutes. He doesn't really let go of advantages of this size very often.
Like, I mean, basically now white can skip a move. It still was, yeah.
Probably pass wins here, yeah.
Yeah, like takes, rook a5, bishop g4 works, yeah. So.
Yeah.
Well, so he's probably just going to go takes, and what, a move like g3 here or something?
Yeah, actually, you can even play h4 or f4 because rook d7 is such a huge threat.
Actually, actually, like in terms of fight for style points, I like g4 in current position. It kind of makes sense, and it's also a cool move.
Without exchanging the queens?
Yeah, of course we do. We just go, like even g takes, I think is the lost. But in general, it's sort of logical to protect h5 in once, and then you want rook d7, and it's also luft, and I mean, okay, I just like it.
Yeah, rook c1 kind of bugs me a little bit. If not for rook c1, I would agree with you.
Yeah, that is true.
And this is, as you said, Daniil, he might be thinking to himself, why didn't I play this in game one? I mean, this is the sort of position you want to get against Hikaru, isn't it? Not a heavy theoretical 4-9.
I think especially if you're Magnus, because otherwise it's sort of okay. I mean, Hikaru is like rock solid. He knows this, slightly worse Queen's Gambits. But I mean, just against Magnus, it's sort of like what Magnus does best. Yeah, I mean, why do you need all this messy stuff?
Yeah.
Like in terms of ideas, I actually liked what Magnus was doing in the first game. I mean, okay, he failed to win it, but still, like at some point, it felt like he's about to squeeze something out of nothing. So just basically go for this like equal but slightly better. Like slightly more chances for white position, and then just play it forever. Yeah. Okay.
So he played h4. I think the only move here is rook c5 because you cannot allow rook d7, and also if you go rook d8, takes hg is just completely for losing because the f pawn just runs all the way up to f6. White stops for nothing basically here. f4, f5, f6, and the f pawn kind of quins.
Yeah, but after rook c5, I like bishop b2. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, bishop d6, rook d8 is actually completely unnecessary because you might have to trade rooks there. And trading rooks, if you don't win any material to go with it, is the way to create trouble for yourself here. So that's one thing you don't do. It's probably still winning, but why do this to yourself? And bishop b2 is a nice move. I guess black continues chasing rook b5. We can even go bishop a1 though, because rook b1 check.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Because rook b1 check is not a move. So black takes on h4, we go rook d7, rook g8, and with the black pieces completely stalemated, we just win at our leisure, like f4, bishop b5, and then something.
Yeah, I mean, also it's not that bishop h3 was a mistake after rook b5.
Yeah, like I don't think mistakes. I don't think mistakes exist really anymore. It's just so completely winning.
Yeah.
So we get a game 4 with scores level. Overwhelmingly likely here, and we need to start discussing strategies, I guess. Hikaru won the round robin. Hikaru won the round robin very convincingly, right? So he gets to choose the color.
We should, but maybe we should wait until the game is completely over, because I remember there was a famous commentator who also kind of said congratulations to a very well-known
famous commentator, is it?
Well, he was a famous commentator. He's not anymore so much, and said congratulations. He didn't realize, hand on heart, that he had more games to play. But,
Okay. Yeah, I don't disagree. Sure.
Let's put it this way: this position, more winning positions have been lost or not converted. Let's put it like that.
But not by Magnus, I'm afraid.
Yeah, normally not by Magnus. It's interesting that he just gave up on a2. I don't think he needed to. I don't quite see what the win is here. Bishop f5, rook d6, I guess. Maybe just bishop b4, bishop b1, and rook d7 or something. Yeah.
Exactly.
Rook goes somewhere, and we go rook d7, and the pin along the b file will not really net us much. Yeah, because bishop a2 check exists.
Yeah, or bishop a3 check. Oh no, sorry.
No, bishop a3 check would no. Rook g7, king f8. Rook g7, king f8. You've made the game very interesting again.
See?
So, don't do that.
Just like that. Nobody has this talent in the world to mess up positions. Nobody. Yeah, he's not going to do that.
Yeah, he's not that talented indeed.
He's not that. So bishop b1, rook a6, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you can choose other squares, but it shouldn't matter. I think, like, if you want to kind of spite prolong the game here, you take on b2, play b6, and pretend you have like two connected passers on the queen side.
Or maybe you go rook a1 and take
the other one. Yeah,
but it's like pretty much the same.
Yeah, but obviously, like, everybody knows this is never ever getting saved.
Yeah.
Will you depart if this game is saved, Peter, from the ultimate?
From the mortal coil, or?
Yeah, the mortal, yeah. Exactly.
It's not that unreasonable. Like, I would prefer not to, but like, it's a suggestion.
Okay, bishop g7 on the board. It is looking more and more like that isn't going to happen, to be honest. Yeah, now it looks like mate. It looks like forced checkmate. There's nothing to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're currently not threatening to give a check, so the game continues. He's gone g4, actually kind of creating some rook c1, rook h5 ideas, which don't save the... I suspect there should be mate now after bishop g4, bishop b3, yeah?
G3, bishop f1. Can we mate him on h3? Look at this. Check. Check. Check.
Yeah, I think you're about to get checkmated. Yeah, go g3, kicking h3.
Yeah, g3. But instead of g3 here, go king h2. That's probably actually mate.
That is probably mate.
No, but even this after king h3, you just go like bishop like c4 or something. Yeah?
That is
h7. See, it was impossible. We'll put that.
But king h2 is probably a little bit better.
That's nice. King h2.
So as not to bother. He's gone bishop b5, which is very similar. Yeah, we're gonna get a similar type position anyway.
See?
Yeah, he goes king h2. Yeah, king h2 is just more stylistically.
Yeah, but it's g3. Yeah, I mean, it's not checkmate.
Yeah, the game continues for like.
No, it doesn't really continue because we win the bishop with the rook on ac8 with checks.
Yeah, but we wanted to checkmate. Come on, this is not what we want.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's not nitpick.
Okay.
But you are not fair, actually. Like, when I play this rook a5 to e1 against Dink, which is completely winning, you are saying, no, you should have sacrificed it. And now you say, I mean, okay, it's okay that he collects everything. Okay. It's very unfair, Peter.
I mean, why would you ever expect fairness from life?
You have double standards.
Absolutely, yeah. I just don't understand the surprise.
All right, so a massive win for Magnus Carlsen, meaning that we go into game 4 all square. Hikaru with the white pieces. Very interesting. Let's talk strategy. Now, I feel as though after that loss, Hikaru is going to play a very, very modest game here with white. I think he's thinking, you know what? I probably got better chances in an Armageddon playing black than I do here going all out for a win with white. Daniil Dubov, how do you think Hikaru is going to play? Do you think he's going to he's going to go for it here, or do you think he's going to just play a very, very quiet?
I think he basically never tries to be like really ambitious against Magnus, and like in this situation especially, just why would he do it? No, I think he'll play just something rock solid. Maybe like he will try to look for some like memory check, and he knows like okay, some line where basically Magnus is down to like 1 or 2 only moves, and then it's a draw by force or something like that. I really don't think he will sort of try to play a long game, trying to outplay Magnus. Obviously, like mathematically speaking, his chances are much higher in the Armageddon. Also, I'm actually surprised that like people tend to take black always, and yeah, I mean, I just don't get it, to be honest. But yeah, we'll see.
I think we've discussed this quite a lot. Why would you take black over white in an Armageddon? If you're such a talented speedster as Hikaru is, then the extra minute, I think basically if you're an internet blitz player like Hikaru is, I think taking black makes a whole lot of sense. Whereas if
but they both are though. That's the thing. He is playing against somebody who is also an incredibly very, very proficient internet blitz player. So
yeah, I think it's very. The whole which is better. I mean, statistically they say that taking white is actually better, right, Peter? Is that right in Armageddon? That it's shown.
We just don't have enough. We don't have enough data, but I'm not sure if this is what it says. What did we have in this tournament? Like we had Yuangi flag ding, and then the second Armageddon ding won. We had the Armageddon in Daniil's game against Karekin, which should have been won by white, but wasn't. Did we have, how many more did we have? Magnus, I don't think played any going in.
Yeah, probably
going
not.
into this match. I don't
but I think
remember.
There was a big number of Armageddons in this Magnus Invitational, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but there we had a decent chunk. I don't think there's conclusive evidence either way. I think it's very much personal preference, and also I think in some cases it depends a great deal on opening repertoires.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Like if in particular, like if you feel that you have absolutely nothing against the guy's black repertoire, why are you taking white and giving a minute odds to just get an equal position? Right. That feels counterproductive if you are the one having to choose. So for me, often, like I haven't actually played very many in my life, but for me that would be a very important concern, because these days my serve with the white pieces is really non-existent, and that would kind of heavily influence my decision making in that spot.
But I don't think, like, as white, it doesn't really matter, no? You just play like you did against me, for instance. You just play the Philidor with colors reversed. I mean, you just play a game, and then eventually you're...
Yeah. No, I think I did the right thing against you, but...
Yeah, but it was even a blitz game. I mean, okay, in Armageddon, it's even much more... Because I remember myself, I think I played my first real Armageddon when I was 17. And I was really proud. Like, I was young, but I was really proud of the decision to go 1b3 against Ponomarev. And I just B3, yeah. I mean, I just realized, okay, yeah. I mean, I need to play a long game, and then, like, you just basically shouldn't allow the guy to play like even 10 moves by book. You should just try to force him to play like 60 moves by himself, not 40, and the 20 moves from his notes. So yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, that clearly should be the correct side, unless you have a very specific, like more or less mainstream opening idea, which you suspect you will get. And against Hikaru, as we have just seen in Game 3, you do know more or less exactly what you're getting if you play 1d4, and people have been having reasonable success against this particular QGD, both in the Magnus Invitational and just now. So that's not an unreasonable idea either, but in general, I think.
Yeah, I actually think against Hikaru, I mean, you just pick up white, you just play the sending, which he was trying to hold forever in this Magnus Invitational Nations Cup, like you tried everything, you keep playing, you're slightly better, and then eventually you just win on time because it's never completely equal, and he has to define moves. I think it's actually slightly weird that there is no increment after a move like 60 or 80 or whatever. But I think in general it's a very decent idea to have increment, which we normally have in offline events. But here, okay, it's like basically, it's basically just you can flag the guy whatever happens. Yeah, it's.
Well, pretty much, yeah. If there's still some life in the game past move 50, for instance, your flagging chances are, as long as you keep some part of your initial 1 minute advantage, which is not a given, obviously. That's the thing against somebody like Hikaru with stunning reflexes and just very, very good instincts in blitz. He doesn't really blunder almost at all, and is capable of playing very quickly at a very high standard. Maybe you will just lose your minute advantage somewhere along the way, and who is flagging who by move 50.
Yeah, that is true. No, in my case, I normally take white. Online I always take white just not to get flagged. Okay, I play with touchpad. I know, like with 4 minutes, like against some Firuja, I'm just dead.
You still play on touchpad?
Yeah, of course.
What do you mean, of course?
That's a sickness, isn't it? Like, you can see a doctor for that, Daniil.
There are remedies available for this, actually. Yeah, and they aren't even that costly.
Yeah, but I don't think, like, basically when you buy a mouse, I don't think like I've been playing on touchpad for like many years. I even played some Counter-Strike on touchpad, and that was not that bad. So I actually bought a mouse. Like, I'll tell you, it's a shame, but I bought a mouse. But in general, I still feel like it will take time to sort of master my skills of playing with mouse, at least to the same level that I have with touchpad. For now, I just feel like I'm slower with mouse than on touchpad, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember when I sort of first started traveling to tournaments, I used to buy exclusively Toshibas, and those Toshibas had a track point. Mm-hmm. in the middle of the keyboard. You know those little, like they normally were red, like the red pimple in the middle of the keyboard. And I was very proficient with it because of like it the machine comes with it, and you have to buy a mouse. And we were Russian peasants in those years, and mice weren't readily available. Perhaps, of course they were, but yeah, like don't do that. Why are you doing this to yourself?
David Howell also suffers from this sickness, if you didn't know. David Howell is also a touchpad. And I'm sure many of you, I might actually create a touchpad blitz hotline for all of you guys suffering with this affliction, because it really is a sickness that I just...
I actually think like when there is an increment, it's not a drawback at all. I played this Timeless Memorial, I felt like rock solid and completely comfortable. Like, it's not that I'm that slow. I can even play Bullet and like win some games against normal players. So when there is an increment, it doesn't really matter. When there is no increment, you feel like maybe 10 more games like this, and I'll probably do something about it. But, it's never 10.
Yeah, I remember in the olden times, like in the times when ICC was God and none of the current crop of chess websites existed. There were people who were much faster typing than people playing with a mouse.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think like the entire first Azeri generation of really strong blitz players, they were all typing.
That's right.
And that was also like stunning to me that you could be this fast, because they would consistently beat people with good motor skills playing with a mouse.
Very dangerous though, typing your moves. You want to play Queen C7, you accidentally hit the 8, blunder the Queen. Blunders galore possible. Anyway, I do want to just remind everybody, we have got our premium membership offer today, which is of course 2 months for the price, using the code double. And please remember, going premium doesn't net you all of the fantastic video series, opportunities to play Magnus and whatever it may be. You do support the tournament and these events by becoming premium. And I'm already getting a lot of messages today of people taking this offer, the offer for 2 years for the price of one, saving 150 euros. It's absolutely wonderful to see so many people supporting the company and supporting these tournaments. So we do get such fantastic chess, online chess.
We have moves, guys. So let's perhaps maybe start covering the chess. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to finish that off, thank you very much. We have a 8H3 versus the Spanish. We saw this a lot at the candidates, an anti H3.
Yeah, and this Magnus, I think, is very much sort of on the record as a D3, D5 player in this position. Not that he cannot play D6, but I think he much prefers the more forcing solutions which this gambit affords. White does have, I think, lines which end up being more or less a forced draw, which, once again, returning to the whole strategic point of this game, I think Hikaru doesn't really mind some kind of a forcing line where maybe he can get a nibble, and if not, it's a draw. And Magnus, perhaps for that very same reason, declines and goes D3, D6, which used to be, a major reason why people liked 8H3. I think 8H3 was everybody's preferred anti-martial until D5 became a thing. Now you go A3, and you think that you've achieved something because Black played Bishop B7, and at least, the classical school of thinking here is that developing the Bishop to B7 when White hasn't actually played C3 and D4 is not the best, because it ends up not doing a lot there, and you often even have to play Bishop C8, Bishop E6 later. There's definitely a decent amount of lines here which require Black to play Bishop B7, C8 at some point.
Yeah, the funny thing is that actually I think I tried to show off, like when I was like 18, I tried to play D6, A3, D5. Then in the same line you go knight D4, and then after the C3 sometimes you have knight B3.
Oh, that's cute.
I mean, it's not completely idiotic. Like there is a
no, it's not. I suspect maybe some other lines become slightly better for White, right? Like
you probably don't take E5. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like knight BG2 might become stronger instead. But yeah, Magnus goes knight B8. I think Magnus has played like this before. It's the old slow line, which isn't really supposed to equalize.
Didn't he play it against you?
I played this against him in that famous game in the last round of London candidates. I played Queen D7 though. I didn't play knight B8. That's the game I won against Magnus in London 2013.
You nearly completely disrupted the fate.
The course of chess history, yes.
Yeah.
The flow of time. But as usual, almost doesn't exactly count.
Yeah, but actually, it's a very strange choice by Hikaru. I mean, just to play chess against Magnus. Okay, this is a bit surprising.
Really?
I mean, why would you play chess against Magnus? Yeah.
Said the man who specifically sought out any chance to play chess against Magnus he could get. I mean, in terms of the position you get, I think you are quite happy here with White.
Maybe
you're
listening.
You're that happy that you go knight G5, knight F3, yeah?
No, I think knight G5, after rook F8 you don't go knight F3, I think you go knight G3, because Black doesn't generally want to play H6 so quickly.
Yeah, but on D5 maybe?
Yeah, D5 is very critical here. I think there's theory here. I think D5, E5, Bishop D5 takes, something like Queen F3, Bishop G5, Queen, some kind of theory like this exists.
Hold on, guys. Sorry.
Knight G5, D5 here. I think D5 is actually the critical and maybe even the quote-unquote correct move in this position. I don't like rook F8. I think rook F8 actually gives White a lot more freedom.
My bet is Magnus will play rook F8.
Okay, I'll go with a D5, Daniel. I'm not a betting man, but I'll take D5. So next time I see you, Gibraltar.
I really need to know where the Doge sound's coming from.
Is there a dog?
There's a dog barking somewhere, and I'm extremely envious.
Oh, we hit. All right, Daniil, sorry. Lucky, my friend.
Yeah, d5, okay.
d5 played, okay.
Yeah, e5, and I think you're supposed to take with the bishop. I wonder if c4 is a move, but it shouldn't be.
But wait, you actually have... so there is no... The defense line here is knight c5, d6, knight takes b3, d takes, queen d5, knight e3 is very important.
Say that again, Daniil, because my internet's a bit shaky and I'm...
Yeah, so knight c5 now runs into d6. And then knight takes b3, d takes e7, queen d5, runs into knight e3, which is very important.
Right.
Because otherwise I think knight c5 would be a very decent inclusion for black.
Yeah, I think that's very relevant. But I think bishop takes d5 is supposed to be completely fine. I'm trying to remember. I think the line actually goes bishop d5, we take, we play queen f3, knight 5 f6 is somehow a little bit awkward, so black takes on g5, takes, queen d5, queen e7. I think I've seen this position before. And it's
but why? I mean, why is it a line even? Why? I mean, why on earth, as they say, black would be worse here?
I'm not saying he's worse. No, I think knight g5 would be very strong if not for specifically d5 and things like that.
But you mean this is rock solid? There is no sort of continuation, yeah, of this line?
As far as I remember, no. I think you're
yeah.
supposed to play knight g3 first. I don't think you're supposed to play knight g5 this early. If I remember theory correctly, but it's been a while. This line was like all the rage in like I think around the Kramnik-Leko match.
But
all of this became extremely relevant.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah, exactly. So Hikaru played exactly what I was about to mention. So this queen h5. Yeah, tell me as an expert. So you just take on g5, f6. It's even more comfortable for black.
Why do we even like f6 is a move, but also just knight f6, queen d6 I think is completely fine. Queen c8 I think is completely fine. I don't think black is even worse. I mean, queen c8, queen b7, rook e6, rook a8. I understand it's slow, but the king side is complete. Like for somebody who really, really likes bishops against knights, I have grown to very much dislike this specific dark squared bishop against the knight in these structures. I don't think it does very much.
My question was basically like if it's worse for white than the line with queen f3 you mentioned earlier.
I think this gives black more chances to eventually be slightly better, even though he is currently, I don't think, better at all. But I think there is, like, long term, there are slightly more prospects for black here.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Yeah.
He went f6.
Yeah.
He went f6. So f6, bishop d2. Now
C5,
knight f8,
probably.
I guess. C5 or knight f8 first? Yeah, I don't know which. Probably c5.
Yeah, knight f8 runs into d4 probably.
Yeah, you don't want to allow that. Yeah,
yeah.
c5 is just such an important, part of what you're trying to do here. I guess white probably tries to go for some kind of knight g3, knight f5, but it shouldn't be like knight f8, queen d7, g6 even eventually.
Even the old rook a7 switcheroo. Some point. Well, you've got to be careful of.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting position. If black is not careful, maybe something develops on the king side. But I think normally black is very, very comfortable here.
But what about just c5, c3, and then you try to get d4 anyway? Like optically, it doesn't look good for white, but just why exactly? Yeah, maybe there is a reason, but
yeah, that's an interesting question. It's surprisingly difficult to stop d4 from happening.
Well, maybe we just go knight d7 to b6, yeah, and then we have ed and c4.
Maybe, yeah, and we actually kind of threaten c5, c4 ourselves already positionally.
Yeah, but even here some bishop a5. I mean, it doesn't look exactly idiotic from white. Like you trade the knight, you go knight e3, you sort of try to fight for the d5 square. Not that white is better, but at least it kind of makes sense.
And we can't take a pawn?
Well, there's going to be some jumping, like knight f5 and then something, I don't know.
Or
maybe
even
knight g5 even, yeah?
Okay,
knight
d5,
g5, g6, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, it's a bit too far from the current position.
Yeah, and Hikaru is playing very, very quickly, and Magnus has started spending time. So Hikaru gave himself a buffer of about 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes for now.
But actually, like, if there is a reason not to like c7, c5, then it's not that comfortable for black. Then you could regret playing f6 actually.
Yeah, it's not impossible. Yeah, if you have to go something like knight f8, d4, knight g6, then yeah, you feel like you could be slightly worse, even though it doesn't feel that horrible, to be honest. Just knight f8, knight g6, d, rook e5, knight e5.
Yeah, but then it's just the bishop, some b3, e4 coming. Okay.
Then. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, it's normally fine, but white obviously is quite okay with these developments.
Yeah.
Okay, Magnus Carlsen in the think tank, as we say. He doesn't look as somebody who's watched a lot of Magnus Carlsen over the past 15 years, he looks okay. He doesn't look that thrilled. He doesn't look that concerned. He just looks okay. So I think he just wants to be precise. He understands it's important to be precise here, and is looking at the options.
Yeah.
So
also,
I actually start to like queen e7. Sorry.
I was about to mention exactly the same thing. Yeah, queen e7, d4, queen f7.
Well, that's what I said originally. Put the queen. Guys, we just wasted 3 minutes.
But he played it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought, like, why not put the queen on f7?
I guess we go queen knight g3 now to meet queen f7 with queen g4 and pretend we have some tactical ideas here. It's a little bit awkward to like this queen on g4 is annoying. It's not that easy to deal with. Yeah, Hikaru goes knight g3 very quickly. I think absolutely correctly. Even queen f7 is not forced. Maybe you go queen e6 instead. Maybe you go c5, knight f5, queen e6. I don't know.
Yeah, but let's say queen f7, queen g4, some king h8. So what are the ideas exactly?
No ideas. A4. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm saying it's an awkward piece for you to deal with for now.
But then I maybe go b4. Yeah, I mean it's also tricky for it.
Well, I was hoping I can take, but maybe I cannot. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, some f5 or something. I don't know. Maybe f5 even.
Yeah, but that that's a bit of a maybe not all in, but it's a committal choice here. Yeah. Queen f7 played. I'd be shocked.
Yeah, but I could.
Wasn't the move.
Yeah, I mean, I could have the nuts here, though. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Queen f3.
Yeah, and just as I said, I'd be shocked if queen g4 wasn't played. Queen f3 also makes perfect sense. Slightly less, quote unquote, attacking on the king side, but there's not really any attack. And on f3, it arguably does a little bit of a more all-round job. Magnus quickly plays knight f8. I guess he wants rook a8 and knight e6. Yeah, and after a4, I think in general black wants to play b4. Black doesn't want to give up the a file for the rook on a1, so he is preserving that option as well.
B4, rook a8, or
well, as soon as white goes a4, we don't offer the opening of the a file. I'm pretty sure.
Well, actually, why we can just go rook a8, then knight e6, and then we try to checkmate. Yeah, I mean, we just give up b5, we go knight e6, knight d4, f5.
Yeah, if we're in a romantic frame of mind, we could do that as well. I think knight e6 is almost always going to be met with knight f5 anyway to stop knight d4 and kind of get in the way of black's proactive play.
I'm absolutely convinced knight f8 is Magnus Carlsen's favorite chess move. Just full stop. If he could play knight f8, Spanish, Sicilian Rossolimo, whatever, he'll play knight f8. He's just obsessed with this move.
And there seemingly is an important tweet on our screen, so let's discuss the poll that is currently being.
What does the poll say?
Well, have a look and.
Okay, I have to lean in. Oh, I see. What will happen in game 4? Magnus wins is that 62 or 82%? I can't see because I'm a little bit below.
Magnus wins currently in the lead with 41%. Hikaru wins 18.8 and about a 40% for draw in Armageddon, with no results for the Armageddon offered. So seemingly, I don't know how many votes that is, but seemingly our Twitter audience is doesn't really like the White's position very much here. I wonder why. It's not really bad at all.
Oh,
in particular,
97. Wow.
Yeah, in particular after 95, 97, I'm very surprised by this, to be honest. This is not what I expected. This is not what I expected.
Yeah, like it's not dramatically better. It's just why do you need this? Yeah.
Yeah, it's mainly surprising because I thought it's like the least ambitious of all his all his options. And now White, for instance, has an opportunity to play like 97, Queen e7, d4, making sure that, you know, at least he will never be worse. No, e4. No, e4 exists. Yeah, sorry. I take all of it back. I did not notice e4 was a possible reply.
Queen d7 also exists, by the way.
Yeah.
But maybe what he did was just okay. Maybe he was worried about some c2, c4 coming.
Maybe,
although,
yeah, but takes a4. This is a little bit awkward for Black, actually. I'm not sure how much I like this. And also I very much like Hikaru's response. I think Hikaru's response is very much on point here. Playing a4 instantly, rook b8, the reply from Magnus. Obviously, if Black gets like 96, Queen d7, all of his moves in, he's not going to be much worse, or maybe not worse at all. But for the time being, White is kind of making progress and Black isn't.
In terms of geometry, Queen d8 was a cool move, actually.
Yeah, but allowing Queen c6 is a bit dodgy. I don't know.
Yeah, but then you go Queen d7 and...
Maybe. ab5 and then Queen takes a8 though. But yeah, it's in the past. Yeah, Rook b8 played ab, and what we spoke about, the opening of the a file with the rook steal on a1 happened. It shouldn't be the end of the world for Black, but of course White is quite happy about this because the rook on a1 is now very much in play without having to go anywhere. And Hikaru has the 2-minute buffer, also not irrelevantly.
Yeah, but still, I actually don't get it. Like, I've played Rouser for many years. After that, I just don't get it. I mean, okay, you play Queen d7, 96. I mean, what's your problem? Come on, in Rouser, a problem is like checkmate on the board. Like, when you're about to get checkmated, that's basically what you expect. When you get checkmated, then it's a problem. Here, I mean, okay, just go Queen d7, 96.
Yeah, maybe it's fine. I think it very much depends if White can get somewhere very, very quickly here, and I don't currently see how.
I don't know, like, I'm just an uncultured Neanderthal when it comes to these sorts of positions, but I prefer Black. I'm like...
No, I think that's fine, provided Black isn't forced into major concessions in the next 5 moves. I think it's perfectly fine to like this structure for the knight because the bishop doesn't really have much to do. It's not that easy to find sort of any work for that bishop on d2. But yeah, I'm not altogether convinced there is no way for White to make progress currently. Maybe there isn't. I definitely don't see any, but that's no indication of anything.
Yeah, I think the bishop in general belongs to e3. Yeah, I mean, after 96, you will have to restrict the knight.
Yeah, I think it goes there, and then like if Black somehow gets a chance to be very ambitious, he starts pushing for some f5, f4. But I think in this particular position, it's extremely unlikely Black will ever be, you know, safe enough to start some kind of kingside offensives. I think Queen d7 is the move here, right? We need to make sure.
Queen d7, 96. What's the...
Yeah, but then he probably wants something like Queen c6.
Yeah, but then Black is just fine. We take, we go 96, we bring the king over to d7. We are safe. Very, very safe. I don't think there's any issue whatsoever there.
Yeah, probably. Could be still the way to go for white. You double on the a file, you start bringing something as well. Yeah, like before, then your king is marching to b3 probably.
Yeah, I think it might be the way to go. I don't disagree. You could start with rook a1 here, but I probably, if we want to trade queens, we should be doing it here. He's gone rook a1, which is maybe a slight indication he's aiming for something else. We'll see. Knight e6 is very, very normal here. I guess bishop e3 is the, like, yeah, that's what he does. And now we get this kind of a setup where white sort of extended about as much as he can without, you know, pushing for some pawn breaks. But black is also very safe. And he goes rook bg8, I think with the intention of playing queen d5, I guess, yeah? Just force the queens off the board here. Because I think not trading the queen on d5 will be very, very difficult for white to tolerate. It's just kind of... Although, I mean, one plan you have here is to play something like h4, and then queen g4, h5. Yeah, he goes queen c6 straight away, yeah. We kind of expected that. Now we take, we play king f7, I guess.
Yeah, but then we could be... I mean, it's not that obvious. Like rook a5, we're down to some
rook b8. I don't think you can actually attack it with the second rook. I think I'm safe enough.
Yeah, but then I play something like rook a5 to e6. You're a little bit stalemated, yeah?
A little bit, yeah. That's a very good point. Rook a8, rook takes e6, yeah?
Yeah.
Because I was very much hoping I can play rook a8 here and trade one of them off, but I cannot. Yeah, and then it's a complete free roll because we start like g4, h4, h5, king, it gets brought over to e4 and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It's not that pleasant. It's not that pleasant. Maybe we just go rook d6 right now? In view of all that.
Yeah.
Maybe we just go rook d6. Takes.
Yeah, but then after takes, we have to calculate, yeah, like rook a6, b7. We probably give up something. We should, probably.
Yeah, but this is a gambit. Yeah, like rook a6, b6 might actually be winning material. He's gone king f7, and yeah, now Daniil's suggestion of rook a5, rook a6 looks very awkward. Actually, I did not see that setup when I was.
I don't know why exactly we need rook a5, but it just feels nice showing.
Yeah, it feels nice. It probably isn't required though. You're right. Yeah, rook a5. I'm wondering if maybe because of all that, maybe there's an actual reason to play b4. But it's a very, very committal decision, of course. Yeah, he goes rook b8, and Hikaru instantly goes rook 5 a6. Hikaru spotted this setup. And yeah, this is going to be mightily annoying for Magnus, I think. Unless rook b7 just makes a draw. Rook b7, knight d8, knight d6, knight d8, knight d6.
No, but knight d8, you go rook c3, yeah? I mean, you don't...
No, but then we can go king e7, king d7, and our situation is, I think, much improved.
Yeah, but then some f4 will come. Let's say now you play g4.
Yeah, g4 is, I think, the start of everything pretty much always here. Gain some space on the king side, prepare the road for the king towards the center. He goes g3.
Wow.
Maybe he wants to threaten f4 somewhere, but I don't see that happening, honestly.
Well, I mean, once you go knight d8, it could be one of
I think, yeah. Curious.
Does he want to go f5 first at all, ever?
G5. I'm not sure, because then I think white plays g4, and if the king ever actually lands on e4, you're going to be regretting it quite a bit.
I would actually consider playing h5 as black, to be honest. I would probably just go h5 and then try to wait forever.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, he's gone knight d8, so this is, I suspect, and rook c5 in particular is just a draw for pretty much, I feel.
No,
unless he wants to go rook d5.
No, I think he just wants to repeat once. Huh?
Yeah, maybe once. Yeah, maybe rook d5 is not that stupid actually, because it's a bit awkward to face. No, but he goes rook c6. I think Hikaru just feels he's a huge favorite in the Armageddon here.
Wow, this is strange. But why not to play rook c6? I mean, okay, this is.
And here we are. One of us will be correct, Lawrence, because we both took the Armageddon, and I took Magnus, and you took Hikaru before the day even started.
We did, and I think for many people as well, this is what the fans wanted. They want.
Yeah, we get the full value here.
Yeah.
We get the full value. We get an exciting day with decisive games, and then we get the Armageddon for all the marbles.
Yeah, and
much marbles. So wow.
It's going to be very interesting to get confirmation as to which color has been chosen. I guess we'll get that very
We'll
shortly.
get that soonish, but I think we know. I'd be like, I am willing to go out on the limb here and say that it's going to be Magnus having to win with the white pieces.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's going to be very, very exciting. We will find out. We'll get confirmation of that in just a moment. But this is it. I mean, it's been, let's be honest, let's analyze the match in its entirety so far. Feels like we're at a very reasonable finale. I mean, feels like it's been a very, very close match insofar as Hikaru didn't turn up.
Yeah, and we do have confirmation that, as expected, Hikaru chooses the 4 minutes and the black pieces with draw odds. So not entirely sure when the game will start. There should be a bit of it, like around a 10 minute break. So probably around 50. 10 minutes to the hour.
I think it's actually well less. I remember myself, like after losing the first game against Karakin, I think I had to play like, yeah, now they say it's 10 minutes. I think we had a shorter break, to be honest.
Just to finish off what I was saying, domination by Magnus Carlsen in the first match, crushed Hikaru 3-0. Hikaru went to bed, had a good think, how do I change my strategy? Played a beautiful day 2, beating Magnus in game 1, where he let Magnus overextend, not take the draw, and then closed out the match, was never in danger, in serious danger in that match. Started today phenomenally well, beating Magnus early on in a flawless game 2 after Magnus just played, for me, a completely nonsensical opening with white in game 1. Hikaru took advantage, but then Magnus does what he does best, shows his resilience, shows his robustness when it comes to bouncing back. Bounce back immediately in game 3. Game 4, this one here, was interesting. There were some moments. I do want to shout out, apparently, I have been told that why didn't white play d4 instead of a4 in game 4? We can quickly go.
We thought e4 was a reasonable reply, but maybe the computer says
but there's
it's
a check
not.
apparently we've missed. Let's just go there. Where is a4? What move is it?
Like move 23, I guess.
23, yeah. So we'll just put this.
Yeah, I mean, there is a check, but we'll play queen f7. Why is this so horrible?
What I'll do is I'll make sure that the person who, yeah, there's queen f7, right? So
g4, e4, queen b3, queen f7. Maybe the point is we take and we play a4 here, and it's mildly awkward. But generally speaking, d4, e4, I think isn't like if you imagine the knight going d7, b6, d5 here. Black is just so happy. So strategically, you know, it's not great. So you need to justify it tactically. And I guess the way to justify it tactically would be to play a4 here.
Also, f5 is there.
But black plays f5. Why is this so great for white? I'm not sure.
The name of the person who sent me a message will not be revealed, and his identity will be kept safe. So let's move on. If that's.
But it's actually funny that I'm sort of responsible for Magnus playing the stupid 4 knights. Because I think I sort of like I tried few times to inspire him to play it, and it was always like quite a bad idea. I think he played it in the classical game against Dink as white, and he was like about to break the streak. He was about to lose. I mean, it's a game where he blundered something, and then he was like, this was some European clubs or something, and I think
I remember that game. Yeah.
He was about to lose. Yeah, now he plays it again.
He was just totally busted by move 25 somehow on the white side
exactly.
of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we'll soon find out. Daniil, let's talk about you now for a bit. You're in the final. Who would you prefer to play? Firstly, from a competitive perspective, and secondly, from an artistic perspective.
Well, I mean, when you say A, you say B. Yeah? I mean, yesterday I said Magnus. No, I think in terms of mass, it's obviously much better for me to play Nakamura. Like, first of all, obviously Magnus is just much stronger, and secondly, I think even in terms of some fight versus Final Four. So basically, it's not only about winning the final, but like now Nakamura and me are probably like two or three biggest. Biggest contenders for the Final Four. So basically, if he wins the final, it basically means he's out of the competition for the Final Four in terms of this fight with like points. Yeah, I mean, you get points for basically like any result in the KO stage. So in terms of mass, it's sort of it's much better to play him. But in terms of chess, of course, it's much more interesting to play Magnus, and I actually prefer chess to mass, so I would still prefer to play Magnus.
And it's a nice little prize on top, $45,000. That's not a small amount of money.
I mean, do you want me to comment on that or what?
You could buy a mouse with that, a really good one. Even with the second prize, $27,000.
I mean, I could buy an army of them. Yeah, I mean,
an army of mice.
Yeah,
the mice army. Yeah. No, it's
the Mouse King.
The Mouse King.
But actually, like the thing, yeah. I mean, basically, when you want to realize what some number of money means, you sort of convert it into something like small. So how many cups of coffee it is, or something.
Yeah,
like
there's a much more relevant suggestion in the Chess24 chat. People, of course, are saying that that paves the way for at least one more Balenciaga sweater.
Probably, yeah.
Are you a Balenciaga man, Daniel? Is that your brand?
I mean, I just have like few things of Balenciaga. I don't know if it's enough to be Balenciaga man, but. Okay. But actually, here I'm sort of annoyed. I would like to, at least once I would like to play wearing the sweater. But I think we were sort of required to wear something sort of more decent than Balenciaga, and I'm fine with that. But when I see Nakamura playing in the sweater, I mean, okay, give me a break. It's not even Balenciaga. What's the point?
Not even Balenciaga.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just some Ralph Lauren or some nonsense like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how can you allow him to do this? I mean,
I know. We will take it up with the management. The Armageddon is on its way. Reminder for anybody who might have just joined: it is down to the wire. This is it, and they're off. Let's go straight there. Simple. Magnus has to win. Hikaru doesn't.
What are the odds on the London of some sort? Just no theory whatsoever. Just play some kind of a weird. The problem is the London involves a lot of theory anyway, so you're not guaranteed.
I'm going with. What do you think of Jabava? D4, knight c3, bishop f4. Any chance?
I don't think it's happening in this game, Lawrence. Sadly for you, I understand. You're an invested observer there, but I don't think it's happening.
My bet is some long game. He'll just play 1d4, some queen's gambit declined, and then he'll just play slow. I mean, at least that's what I think is correct. And he's actually very smart, and I mean, he knows how this EV works. I think he will just try to get a slightly better position and then to win on time. Yeah, we will see.
We'll see. It should kick off in about 60 seconds or under. So soon, all will be really revealed.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be 1e4 though. 1e4 would be.
No, that would
be a mistake.
I think. Yeah. best by test, but maybe not in this particular circumstance.
No, that would be shocking.
There is e4, e5, knight c3, knight f6, d4. Come on.
And then queen d3, the Chinese.
E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6. What?
No, knight C3, knight F6, D4.
Oh, sorry, yeah, this one.
But it was actually hysterical. I thought it makes pretty much like zero sense. And then, I mean, I won against Westland. I thought I will never do it again. And then I played Dink. I played 1 E4, E5, knight C3 with a different idea. And then he spent like 2 minutes and played knight C6. And then I realized he was probably trying to do D4. That was actually hysterical.
Okay, so we have, I think we've seen this. Okay, lots of moves being made, and we get a very, very complex playable position with an Isolani on d4. As somebody who played similar lines with black, I feel like, objectively speaking, black should be completely fine, but that's kind of irrelevant. There's a lot of play left, and this game will not be decided by the opening evaluation.
Yeah, but at least it's sort of comfortable for black in terms of directions. You basically know what you are doing, so you have the d5 square, you attack d4.
I think
Queen d4,
like,
rook f1, we'll just
Queen d4, rook fd1 captures the queen. Very importantly for black, the bishops are still on the board. I think if black could somehow trade the bishop on e7 for the bishop on g3, he would instantly be doing quite well. But the way things are, the b8 square is not really available to the rooks, and attacking the pawn on d4 is much harder while the bishops are still alive. But also for white, it's not that easy to find a constructive plan. I think the constructive plan here is play fast and hope it works out for you in severe mutual time trouble.
Well, but bishop e5 is sort of constructive plan, huh?
Yeah.
Now you start preparing h4 somehow.
Yeah, bishop f8 played. Yeah, you would like h4, h5 here, of course. Another issue for white maybe is that he would very much prefer to have the bishop not on b3 but on b1, I think, in terms of creating something on the king side. And the knight on b4 just completely dominates that bishop. It's very difficult to rehome it somehow. f6 is a concession. f6 is obviously a concession, and now those bishops get traded, which, as I said, is normally good for black. But the knight will return to e4 and then go to c5, and the pawn on e6 will be under quite some pressure. I feel like Magnus probably won that little exchange.
Yeah, but now it's just much worse, no? Knight c5, rook e1, I mean, just...
Yeah, you could even play that endgame, but I think keeping the queens on the board is quite sensible as well. At some point, we probably include bishop c4 and b3, just to make sure that, nothing drops on the queen side. And then, yeah, there's a lot of pressure against the e5.
Also, in terms of ideas, you probably want b3 square to be available for the knight in some
that is a good point. Yeah, bishop
very,
c4
very long future.
Yeah, but bishop c4 f1 maybe, actually. Bishop c4 f1, and then knight b3, rook c5 will become an idea.
But why do you try to be smart? I mean, just double on the e-file, play king g2, play h4. I mean, okay.
Maybe black wants to go e5, actually. Maybe black wants some clarity already.
But e5 will just take and we'll win on time. It will be slightly better for us and we'll just win. Okay. Those bishop c4.
Bishop c4 played, yeah. And now for Hikaru, I mean, e5 is... It's not a great move to make because you're trading off an Isolani, but it does feel like he maybe had to.
Yeah, rook takes e5 was bad because of 97, by the way.
Mm-hmm. And now he is slightly worse at the very least, and it's going to be annoying until the end of the game. And but he's okay on the clock, which is very, very important here. And I don't like rook d2.
Why do you think he's slightly worse?
Rook d2, I really don't like rook d2, and I very much like queen g5. Queen g5 is a clever move because now you have to calculate all kinds of ugliness, including rook e1 check and knight e3 on every move. Like rook cd1, black probably goes knight e3. I think rook d2 was...
well, knight b3 is decent, though.
Knight b3 is clever. Yeah, knight b3 is clever, just solving all of those tactical issues. But yeah, knight b6, though.
Yeah, h4 is a very good conclusion.
Yeah, h4 queen probably has to go to...
Yeah, maybe rook e2?
Now rook e2, but a5 gets traded for a4. We don't actually win anything, yeah? It looks promising, but we don't actually pick up any material. Hikaru for now is hanging on.
Yeah, if you go to c7, it will be some bishop b5 after rook takes c7.
Mm.
Yeah, maybe you go to d6.
Yeah, the clocks are now completely equal, by the way.
They're neck and neck on time. This is, of course, extremely important. Imagine we get a 1 minute bullet finish here, guys. It's not out of the question at all.
Yeah, rook e7, queen e7 played, and now we can probably take on a5, and if knight a4, we can go b3 and pick up the pawn on c6. We might end up being a pawn up in the end of that, which would be huge.
Also, it's quite likely that even knight takes c6 is okay.
Yeah, because the knight on b2 might actually get trapped. Yeah, I was also looking at that. Is queen c5, knight b3 doesn't work. Maybe white is just much better now. Queen e5 played, b2 is hanging. There should be some kind of a tactical solution though. Knight c6, queen b2. Not that easy. Clever move by Hikaru. Clever move. I'm wondering if bishop f7 and then knight c4 does something, but I don't know if it's good. It's an idea, but I'm not sure about the outcome there. I think white ends up being better in the end because we lose the b2 pawn, but not the a4 pawn, which is very, very important.
Yeah, but I sort of agree that the instinct is to take on c6, and after queen takes b2, there should be something smart. Like rook d1 maybe, and then queen e4.
He's just gone knight b3. I don't like that at all.
Wow.
I don't like that at all. I mean, he's still going to have some tricks, but he's given up, I think, much of his projected advantage. And yeah, he's gone bishop f7, I think, one move too late.
Well, he wants rook c4, but it's not even a threat. Even knight b6 is okay.
c5 is probably fine.
I mean, there is no threat. Queen e1 check, yeah? And knight takes b2, okay.
Oh, hang on, rook takes f7. We can take the bishop. Black is winning now. What? Rook e4, but then queen b8.
Queen b8,
so he messed up, and rook f7 kind of wins now.
Oh no!
Yeah, this is surprising. What?
Queen e1 check, and we.
I mean, oh my goodness! What is this? What is this?
This is game over. Yeah, with a minute on the clock, you don't like it's you just that's it.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And Hikaru is in the finals, having won the Armageddon game with the black pieces. Congratulations.
Absolutely shocking from our champion. Of course, with such little time left, these things happen, but you would expect that tactic to be seen. Hikaru, I felt like he was favorite going into the Armageddon. I said at the beginning of the broadcast, Peter, I felt like if it went to an Armageddon, Hikaru, it suited him, and he's a deserved winner. No question about it.
Yeah, he definitely played that game. Sort of, what you need in an Armageddon game is stability, speed, and lack of horrible mistakes. More than it sounds a bit disparaging, but it really isn't, considering the stakes and who you're playing against. And Hikaru played this game exactly the way he was supposed to. He didn't equalize out of the opening.
Still was probably lost, but okay.
Yeah, but you have to convert, and he kept things running. He found this very, very nice queen e5 resource when we thought he might just be completely busted.
But let's probably get back to it go back to it for a minute. Yeah, like queen e5 knight takes c6 was probably good, though. No?
No, the other queen e5 moved to 36.
5 and now
it feels like there has to be a solution, but
yeah, sort of agree. If we are down to bishop f7, then queen e5 is just brilliant move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but knight
I still like bishop f7 though, but I have a feeling it's just strong. Rook f8, knight c4.
Yeah, but then it's sort of, you don't try to win immediately. Yeah, take c4, take b2. I mean, okay, it's a game. You're obviously much better, but it's
it actually is quite a bit. Yeah, go rook d1. I am much better here with white. Yeah.
Well, but even knight d5. I mean, okay.
Yeah, but with the pawn on f6, we probably actually even win this objectively. And we have a guest, so let's discuss it with Hikaru. Hikaru. Congratulations on the victory, and you are still not muted anymore.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks. It was a very interesting day for sure.
Yeah, it was an exciting day. So, starting with the all important final game, how did you were you at any point really worried, or did you think you had things reasonably well in hand?
No, I mean, I was very happy to get the position that I had, because even if white is better, I think my moves just sort of come naturally. So even if objectively white is better, I just felt like I can sort of just put my knights on b4 and d5 and just kind of wait, as opposed to, say, Magnus asking a lot of questions, where with 1 minute less on the clock, I have to sort of figure it out. So I guess the way I viewed it was I was quite happy that I got this sort of position, because even if it's bad, I just play the game. And I think even by like move 25, move 30, I was already close to even on the clock. So I felt that more, a little bit less objectivity and just a position that I could play was more important in this sort of situation.
Hikaru, was it a general strategy to try and get to Armageddon today, or did you just did you feel like you were going to be the favorite in an Armageddon situation, or what was your strategy? Because yesterday you were really on point. You played magnificent. Started off today as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I would say is I think when you start off ahead in the match, like when I won the second game especially, then you have to really think about it. But Magnus, of course, came back and played very well in game 3. So I don't think I was specifically thinking about it, but of course, I think if you get to Armageddon, anything can happen. And I just felt that I think it's 50-50, honestly. I think it's basically 50-50 there, when I pick black. But I felt that unlike, say, some of the... I'll give you an example. So the Armageddon game against Fabiano specifically, Fabiano played something very sharp. Objectively, I think I was completely fine, but it was very messy. It was hard to play, and I couldn't come up with the moves with 1 minute less on the clock, whereas in this game I could. So I think it really just depends on what sort of position you get. And I think the position I got was very favorable considering the situation.
Fair enough. And just to finish with that game, after I thought knight a5, queen e5 was the star move of the game, because by that point we were really worried for your position. We thought after knight a5 you are close to being completely busted, and then you found this idea. Did you see anything for him there? Move 36.
Oh, 36.
Move 36. No, I mean, I was just playing on field base. I was just playing on intuition, trying to be really fast, because I wasn't really calculating much. I just kind of played moves that looked natural.
Yeah, that actually makes queen e5 even more spectacular, because if knight c6 works, your position just completely collapses, and it does seem like this creates a lot of issues for white.
Yeah, but I have checked it briefly. So bishop f7 is like +2. So yeah.
It is a good correct move. Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, because that was my best guess live on air, but I was not at all sure about that conclusion.
And after rook f8 rather.
Knight c4, maybe even knight c6. Now
you have knight c4, and and you just get the end game where you just and every move just comes easily. Of course. Okay, I didn't see knight c4. And that's just and I would have lost this.
No, but once
knight do anything.
Yeah, once knight b3, knight a4 happened, it already looked like, considering that you only need a draw, you are very much in control here.
Right, and then I mean, I didn't see that I had this check for quite a while. I was looking like all kinds of other moves, and finally I saw knight b2, rook b4, queen e1, and then I realized, okay, of course I can just take the bishop. So I mean, it was kind of nice that Magnus made this blunder, and it didn't get down to some kind of scramble at the end where we both had like 10 seconds on the clock. But I mean, I'm pretty happy with the result, of course. I kind of wish I hadn't had the third game, but it is what it is, and a win is still a win.
Well, the first game was a bit of a non-event, but the second game, we were kind of wondering, you probably had it all on file until knight c7, right? Pretty much.
Well, I mean, he's supposed to go rook c8, of course, instead of...
rook g8, yeah.
No, go back. No, after knight c3?
Instead of knight b2, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, rook c8 is just Fabiano on niche, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, you are correct, yeah.
Yeah, so I knew this was nothing, but the thing was, Magnus was using so much time to get to this point that I had a feeling that I would get chances to win. And I felt that in general, he was too slow. I felt, especially yesterday and today, he was just too slow on the clock, and I'm not sure why, but it just seemed that the flow of the moves, it just was a little bit off in terms of the timing, and that cost him this game in particular.
Yeah, because even that endgame all the way to rook e8, knight c7 is apparently probably still a draw if he doesn't play rook d8. At least the machine, I think, suggested.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, already at this point, the thing is Magnus had what, like a minute or less than a minute, I think, already at this point. So it's very hard.
Yeah. No, in practical terms, you're a huge favorite to win this, of course. Yeah, because of the clock situation. Mm-hmm. Because one mistake and you're done pretty much, and Rook D8 was that one mistake.
Right. I assumed it's always a draw, but again, with what did I have, like 13 minutes against like 1 minute? I felt there would always be practical chances, and luckily Magnus did not play this correctly, and it's got that win, which I think was very important.
Yeah, and game 3 didn't really work out all that well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much I'll say about it, but I mean, even in game 3, though, to give you an example how I think Magnus was off, like this whole position where he played bishop f7, like we don't need to look at the opening, but if you go to move 22, like after I blunder and it's lost, like even here, Magnus was a little bit off because I thought bishop takes f7 was completely unnatural, or not unnatural, but unnecessary. I thought, isn't knight g6 just game over?
Oh, knight g6.
Oh no, wait,
we didn't see knight g6, but.
No, knight g6 you can take. I thought there was some discovery.
No, knight f7 wins. Yeah, knight f7 wins on the spot. Bishop g3, both knight e5 and knight g6 just win on the spot.
Right. And so the point I was going to make is that even in this game, Magnus was a little bit off because he clearly did not see that I could just go king h8. I mean, he's lucky as his queen h5, bishop g6, and it still is quite easy. But I think even here, the fact that he was just, I mean, when I saw him on the webcam, he seemed a little bit off. Like I think. In general, I just got the sense that he wasn't completely feeling it, and so I think that gave me a lot of confidence as well throughout.
All right, that probably covers today. What are you feeling about the final? We've had Daniil here commentating games 3 and 4.
Well, first of all, what is the format? Is it 3 matches or 1 match?
I think it's 3. I'm fairly sure
3
still. It's still 3. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure because when I looked online, it wasn't completely clear to me. Okay. All right. So yeah, I guess what I would say is that it's going to take me a bit to get over this. Probably like in 5-6 hours, I'll start thinking about playing against Daniil. Obviously, Daniil is a very strong rapid player. Had a very, very easy match. I guess I can't think of a better word to describe his win over Ding. So I'm just looking forward to playing him and playing some good chess, and I'll worry about it in a couple hours once this victory has sunk in.
Well, congratulations. We do have a question for you, Hikaru. I believe it is you get to choose colors in game 1, match 1 versus.
Yeah, same as always, black.
Black in the first. Okay, there you heard it. Well, look, I think given how badly the first set went for you, I think your comeback was exceptional. I think your general strategy and the way you played was very compelling, and you deservedly are through to the finals, playing for $45,000 against Daniil. We know that's going to be a cracking match. I mean, stylistically, what do you expect? Do you expect a lot of fireworks there in that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm fortunate that I've played him many times, so I'm pretty familiar with his style. He's very, very creative player, plays a lot of original, unorthodox sort of openings. I didn't look closely, but he had this game against Ding yesterday where I think somehow he played like Queen C8 and Bishop H3 and just like beat Ding out of the opening, which I thought was pretty comical. I'm sure Ding didn't find it comical, but yeah, it's just a very creative player, and he always has new ideas. Tends to be one of these people who doesn't really follow, say, the main lines of theory as much. He tends to try to come up with new ideas around move 10 or move 11. So it should be a lot of fun, and I'm just going to go prepare, and hopefully good things happen.
Yeah, once again, congratulations. It's good that you have some time to come down off of what I expect is quite a decent high right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I would say is it hasn't really sunk in yet, simply because I guess I was riding the high after game 2, and then game 3, I wasn't even really in the game. So like the high that I'm experiencing, I mean, I'll feel it more afterwards, but because game 3 was so bad, like it was very temporary and fleeting. And then just this Armageddon game kind of deciding everything really, it's just going to take a bit. It still hasn't completely sunk in yet, but yeah, it's great to beat Magnus. I mean, at least one time I found a way, so I'm pretty happy.
All right.
Congrats once again, and good luck in the finals.
Yeah. Thank you guys. See you on Monday, I guess. Monday? It's
yeah.
Monday,
on
right?
Monday.
Monday, yeah.
Okay.
Monday.
All right. See you guys.
All right, Hikaru Nakamura through to the finals, beating Magnus Carlsen in an Armageddon match. He will take black against Daniil Dubov in the first of 3 matches that will last from Monday to Wednesday next week. We'll be here with all the action. It's not over for today. Jan Gustafsson will make a reappearance. He is doing Banter Blitz at 8:30. Want to play one of Germany's best comedians? Then feel free, but you have to be a premium member. Go and get that premium membership. You know, not only support this tournament, which is very important, but then you get to play the likes of Jan Gustafsson, and he gets to comment on the games in front of many thousands of players. And then after that, we have the after show with Pascal Charbonneau, who will be recapping today's action, and we have a very special guest today. Wesley So will be joining Pascal Charbonneau. If you've missed a lot of the commentary because you had other things to do today, no worries. Pascal will be going over the most critical moments from all of the games today, and you'll be able to join them at 10 o'clock Central European time. So Jan is on for a Banter Blitz in about an hour and 20 minutes. And then straight after that will be the after show. Peter, it's been fun as always. I actually nailed it today. I actually called it right for once. Armageddon, Hikaru Black wins the match. But in general, the match itself over the 3 days was a delight to witness.
Yeah, today was excellent, I thought, and we now have perhaps a somewhat unexpected but a really mouth-watering prospect for the final. It starts on Monday, so we all get a day's break to catch our breath, so to speak, and we will be here in some combination of people will be here to cover the first set of the Nakamura-Dubov final. Should be excellent. Both of them have played stellar chess, starting from Hikaru starting from round 1 of the round robin, frankly, and Daniil absolutely shining in the knockout phase. So very, very interesting prospect in front of us, and we'll see you then.
Yep, guys, see you on Monday. Remember, 8:30 with Jan. It's goodbye. Thanks for hanging out. Looking forward to it. What a final. Dubov, Nakamura. See you on Monday.
Chess is simple. You just make the right moves.
It's time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Move Trainer empowers you to go from the opening to the endgame with confidence. It's a seamless, effective, and fun way to study chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses, including over 100 free courses. Get expert insights from International Master John Bartholomew, Grandmaster Sam Shankland, International Master Christoph Sulecki, Grandmaster Simon Williams, World Champion Magnus Carlsen, and hundreds of other instructors. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts at chessable.com. Chessable, take control of your journey towards chess mastery.
Now anyone can learn and improve their chess skills with the world champion, Magnus Carlsen. The Magnus Trainer app is packed with fun mini-games and interactive training content. Playable anytime, anywhere. Get the Magnus Trainer, available in the App Store and Google Play.
Every battle is won by preparation. We've taken one of the most popular chess books ever written and rewired it for the modern player. The Art of Attack. Learn with Chessable's state-of-the-art move trainer technology, presented by myself, Grandmaster Simon Williams. I'll talk you through 29 hours worth of educational video content. From attacking the uncastled king, bishop sacrifices, diagonal attacks, and classic pawn storms. Paint your opponent's king into a corner with the Art of Attack.
E5, it's E5 Patzers.
A complete repertoire against 1 E4 based on 1 E5, now available to study with Chessable's unique move trainer technology. The backbone is the Marshall Gambit against the Spanish, with 3 Knight F6 against the Italian. Jan Gustafsson has revisited all these lines he has played for 20 years and worked on as a second for Peter Lecco and Magnus Carlsen, amongst others, with the help of the most powerful engines out there, Leela 0 and Stockfish 10. This has led to many new discoveries and a repertoire ready to master on Chessable that can serve the student for a long chess career.
Maybe E4 doesn't exist after all.
E5, it's E5 Patzers.
For most chess players, it has never been about becoming the next greatest, but about defining your own path, your own style of play. Nobody can define that for you. But perfecting your style takes practice. Introducing Alex Astane Lopez, International Master. Sign up for CoChess waitlist and train with Alex to bring out the unique player in you. Train smart, play smart. CoChess.com.
Positional play doesn't mean indifference. It doesn't mean repetitiveness or adequacy. Positional play means outsmarting your opponent. Do just that. Introducing Raluca Skircha, Woman International Master. Sign up for the CoChess waitlist and train with Raluca to bring out the unique player in you. Train smart, play smart. CoChess.com.